Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the fourth quarter. We are back. And of course, so much stuff going on today. And so many things happened. Like a thief in the night on Halloween. What could you expect? So thank y'all for joining us. Also, y'all can catch us on live YouTube every Tuesday. Early this time. Usually around 7:15 p.m. Also, you can catch us on all podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, basically everywhere you get listen to your podcast. So you listen to a podcast, click on fourth quarter, that's it. If you're watching this live, please subscribe, comment, like. Y'all know, come on, this is YouTube. Y'all guys know the deal. What's going on, Craig? What's up, man? It's Halloween.
Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. I hear the kids outside. So, they're getting their candy. But unfortunately, I'm not giving none out this year. So, here's what it is. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Next year, yeah. We'll be in a house. We're in an apartment now. It's kind of like you don't really go knocking on people's apartment door. And it's weird to leave candy out the apartment building. So,
Yeah. I also don't like to sit down. I would have to sit downstairs and just keep running back and forth to the family room, to the door. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it would have to. Yep. And then a lot of people leave their doors open.
I'm not doing that. But.
Yeah. No, not all the way open, but they have the screen door closed and locked.
No, I don't have a screen door, unfortunately. If I had a screen door, it might be a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that. But
yeah. So, all right, let me ask you this. And it finally happened once again, guys, in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. in the morning. I was asleep. I was trying to watch the Lakers game, but they were irritating me because they were playing bad. That's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that one day. Still early in the NBA season. So, but Harden got traded to the LA Clippers. And let me break down the trade for everybody. So the Clippers received James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrusev. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Sorry, Philippe, if I got your name wrong. 76ers received Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, an unprotected 2028 first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a first-round pick from the Thunder, and a first-round pick swap. Goodness, they gave a lot. Didn't expect Harden to go for that much. What are your thoughts on that, Craig?
For the Clippers, or I'm gonna start with the Sixers. For the Sixers, I think it was a great move for them because you get rid of that negative energy, that dark cloud that was surrounding the team. Even though he hasn't played for the team, he didn't even play in the preseason. He said he's going to come up and show up for that one preseason game, I think, at the end, and he never did. They were trying to do an investigation because it wasn't an injury that was keeping him out. The NBA was going to do an investigation. They still might because it wasn't an injury that was keeping him out. And with the new load management rules, they kind of broke that rule. So I don't know if it was Harden or it was the team or whatever the case may be. But just getting rid of Harden, I mean, to me, they didn't get really nothing back. They got some depth pieces. They got some okay players, I guess. But I just think they really wanted to get rid of Harden and just get that nasty, I don't know, negative energy off the team and just away from the team. So I think they did a good job there. The picks, you never know how that's going to work out. We've seen the trust the process thing with Philly before and how I guess it didn't work out, because they haven't got past the second round. So in my opinion, that hasn't really worked out, even though they got some good players with those picks. It just hasn't panned out the way I don't think that it hasn't panned out the way I think that they thought it was going to pan out. And I think they thought they was going to have a championship by now, at least with some of the players that have been there with Ben Simmons and Embiid, and they had Harden and at one point they had Jimmy Butler, and it just hasn't worked out for them. So if I were to give them a grade though, just because they got Harden off the team and they don't have to deal with that anymore, that headache, I probably would give them like a B plus, even though the players aren't great and who knows how those picks are going to be. The Clippers, on the other hand, I give the Clippers probably a B. They got a really good player. It's just you're taking a risk when you're getting James Harden because you never know what kind of James Harden you're going to get. I mean, he's asked for trades the last what seems like three to like in the last 4 years. I think he's asked for 3 trades. So you just never know what kind of James Harden you're going to get. I don't know how this is going to work out in terms of because he's already played with Russ 3 separate times, or twice before. This will be his third time. So you kind of wonder about that dynamic. And overall, the whole dynamic of the team when you have already 2 really good players in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, how that's going to make everything work. I think Russ is coming off the bench, so you put Harden in the starting lineup possibly. I mean, you have 4 really good players that you could probably just have at least minimum 2 players on the court at all times, as long as everybody stays healthy. And that's another key is everybody stays healthy. 3 of those 4 guys have injury issues. Russell Westbrook is probably the only reliable person in there in terms of his health, but at the same time, he's not the shooter, I guess, that those other guys are. He's a great leader, and he brings that energy. But if you're relying on Russell Westbrook to be the same type of Russell Westbrook that he was years ago, or for him to be a shooter, that's not going to happen. But I think the Clippers got better. I had them at 7 at one point. I think I might have to bump that up, especially if everybody stays healthy and the team can gel. I don't. It's going to be a big. What's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know what the word is. Like if they coexist together, how that's going to work with those guys, all 4 of those guys, with the coach. Who knows what's going to happen at the end of the season? Does he want out again? Is it not working? I mean, the Clippers kind of got like, well, this is a trial thing, I guess, anyway, because his contract's up. So either it works out and they re-sign him for next season, or it doesn't and he becomes a free agent. So I think it was a win-win for the Clippers because they didn't. I mean, even though they gave up a lot of picks they're for the future. They're like years out in advance. You know, the Clippers. I mean, you never know what the Clippers could be. They could be the best team in the league at that point in time, and then the pick turns into like a late first-round pick or whatever, or late second-round pick. I like the trade for both sides. I was surprised that it happened, but I'm finally glad because I was so sick and tired of hearing about James Harden and him no showing and all this other stuff. So I'm glad he finally got traded. So now both parties can move on and we'll see what happens during the rest of the season.
I agree with you on a lot of things. Just gonna give my thoughts, right? So with the 76ers, first of all, I was listening to Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and Kenyon Martin was kind of blown that his son was traded. Just because, you know, he got traded from Houston to LA. That's supposed to be his new home. Kenyon Martin's already out there. His family's out there. You know, like it's a home base and it's a fresh start. You're at home. You're with your family. It's nothing like it. So Kenyon Martin was he knows how the NBA is, but he was a little discouraged. It was good to see a father perspective, not just any father, a father that played in the NBA. I think Kenyon Martin played at a good level. He was a good NBA. He played at a high level. He's a heck of an NBA player. I think he played like 15 years, I think. Been to 2 finals with the Nets. Been to I think it was in the Western Conference Finals with Carmelo.
Yeah, I think so.
When they lost to Kobe, right? I believe so. Yeah, I mean I like him. I've always liked him as a player. It's good to hear more from him. So I think everybody has won except for the Clippers. Okay. Here's the only thing, right? James Harden wanted to go to LA. He got it done. I want to go to the Clippers. Boom. It's done. He wanted to leave Philly. It's done. Philly got a lot for him. And I'm assuming they have shout out to to I don't like taking anybody points. Shout out to Nick Wright, first things first. And I never thought about this, but he said Philly might use that to get another star before the trade deadline. That's a lot of ammunition. Those are a lot of picks. Zach LaVine might come up. You know how the NBA is. Like, somebody might come up. Somebody might come up. Another star. So, look out for that. But I'm just kind of glad that they got him out the building. Tyrese Maxey has been balling so far. I'm glad. Shout out, I called it out. I just like the way he's been carrying himself off the court. And I think, everybody's like, Joe Embiid's worried, man. Just let Tyrese Maxey get the keys. Let him get the keys, man. Let him ball. We don't know. We don't know what potential Tyrese Maxey has. But I don't think they're worse off without James Harden. I mean, the East is loaded. Say 76ers lose in the second round. They lost in the second round last year. I don't see them making it past the second round with James Harden, but at least you give Tyrese Maxey that experience, and they might be able to bring in a free agent next year because they have no money on the books. The Clippers, I don't understand what the Clippers are doing. Like, I'm going to be honest. You said you haven't finished in 5th or 4th?
I had him at 7th. I don't know where I got him at now. Like I want to see how the team works together functions and gels and all that stuff before I get off that 7th spot. Plus injuries and all that stuff. Yeah.
I understand. Which that's where I'm at, right? Because it's a good point made that NBA teams win with they win with length, right? I don't know which team I would take them over because I don't know when the last time we seen Kawhi Leonard and Paul George healthy in the playoffs. Now, say Kawhi Leonard and Paul George aren't healthy, right? Is James Harden and Russell Westbrook with a bunch of role players going to get you anywhere?
James Harden, if Kawhi and Paul George are not healthy, James Harden's going to be he's going to be another negative mess because he's going to have to carry that team. Now, if you're asking James Harden not to carry the team and Kawhi and Paul George are healthy, he can go out there and score 14 points. Yeah. But I mean, if it comes
to that, it'll be a disaster.
Oh my God, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like the same old thing all over again.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that the Clippers pushed all their chips in, right? With Kawhi, Leonard, and Paul George. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, damn, they might win, but they had a good chance to win in the bubble, and for some reason, they didn't, and then they haven't been healthy since. I would love to see everybody healthy this playoff, so there's no more excuse of this person isn't healthy or that person isn't healthy. But even if they are healthy, you're not going to put Westbrook in the closing lineup in the fourth quarter. So you're going to have James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. It's going to be hard against Denver. It's going to be hard against Golden State has a chemistry.
That's the word I'm looking for, chemistry.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's then you got the Nuggets, you got Golden State. The Lakers are playing bad this year, but I don't know if I would pick Clippers beating them. I don't know. I don't know because James Harden in the playoffs are scary, man. It's scary. I don't know if this works. I don't know what the Clippers are doing, man. I don't know. They don't have any future first round picks because remember they traded all the ones for next year for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So they don't have any picks till like 2029. And everybody's a free agent. And then, Greg, let's be honest with ourselves. Are you re-signing Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to a long-term deal?
If they stay healthy this year, I probably would think about it. I mean, if not, then who else are you going to go after? Who are you going to get?
They're in a tight place.
Then,
do you sign James Harden to a long-term deal?
I don't know about a long.
They're in a tight place, man.
He would be the one I would be more cautious about because of his history. He has a bad history of just being happy. It seems like
signing 4-year deals and then asking for a trade request after 6 months in.
I mean, he's just a. I don't know, man. He's just you can't trust him. I thought Kyrie was the person you couldn't trust. James Harden, you cannot trust him.
Kyrie's been quiet. You know what I'm saying?
He's been a really good citizen, I guess you want to call it. But James Harden, man.
And you know what? To be honest with you, I would probably take Kyrie over James at this point.
Yeah, I probably would too. Even though, like, if you asked me that 2-3 years ago, I would have said Harden, but Kyrie hasn't really said anything since he's been in Dallas. Like, I haven't really heard from him at all. Because it's not New York or something, but it's Dallas still. But and you got Cuban there. But
yeah, and
Cuban is loud. But I mean, like, I don't know, man. I think the trade is, to me, I think the trade is good if everything works out chemistry wise. If it doesn't, then you're gonna look back at this and be like, especially with the picks, because you're not gonna have anything to build for the future. But
it is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, man. Well, we're gonna see. This is what we love about the NBA guys in sports is that you just never know what's gonna happen. So, I mean, James, I don't know what James Harden's gonna do next year, but he got a ball out this year. All right. So, the NFL trade deadline. It was very interesting. And everybody knows I'm a Commanders fan. Yes, I know, dreadfully so. But I still like my team. So, we traded 2 defensive ends. And Jacoby Brissett was on the trade block as well. I think we wanted a day 2 pick. I think teams probably thought that was too rich for their blood. But we traded Chase Young to the San Francisco 49ers for a compensatory 3rd-round pick. And then we traded Montez Sweat to Chicago. Now, my thoughts on this, Craig, is this didn't come from Ron Rivera. He's a defensive-minded coach. I don't think it came from our president. I think this is ownership, the new ownership doing this. And if they're doing it in a way that I think they are, I agree. Now, unpopular opinion that I've talked to my Commander friends, and they think I'm delusional and crazy, but just hear me out, guys. Right? The NFL is changed. You got to have a good to great quarterback to survive. Right? You got to. That's the only way your team is going to be good and have the potential to win a Super Bowl. Now, everybody was like, oh, I can't believe they, we were expecting them to trade. But my thing is this. They're trading these guys for extra picks to move up in the draft. The Commanders are going to move up, and they're going to take a quarterback. I'm telling you, we got a lot of draft capital. And what teams do with draft capital is they trade up. So, of course, the Commanders are trading up. Now, this is an unpopular opinion with Commanders fans because I'm not sold on Sam Howell. I'm not. You telling me that I could trade up because we don't know. We might have a top 10 pick. So if we have a top 10 pick, I might not even have to trade down. But those extra draft picks can bolster the offensive line. That's what I would do. I would hire offensive-minded head coach, probably Ben Johnson from Detroit, or I just think, unfortunately for Eric Bieniemy, I like Eric Bieniemy, but I think they're going to clean house because he was hired by the old regime. And it's nothing against Eric Bieniemy. It sucks, but I think they're going to hire a young offensive-minded head coach. I think Ben Johnson stands out. I think, I mean, it's pretty early, but he's probably one of the best OCs in the game right now, depending how the Chargers finish. But the Chargers might hire Kellen Moore. You know, they might already have their head coach. But I just think that, I think they're going to go young, offensive minded. They're going to draft a quarterback. And the reason that they traded Young and Montez Sweat is to trade up to get a quarterback. That's why. So that's just my opinion. That's my thoughts. Anytime that new ownership comes, it's massive changes. As a Commander fan, I'm ready for a change. I just don't think the other Commanders fans are. I think we're too stuck with living in the past. And that's my thoughts on the trades. Anything that stood out for you at the NFL trade deadline?
Just touching on this one because this was probably the biggest one that I can think of. I mean, the biggest two trades in terms of names.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a good trade for Washington. I think both of them are, just because you're basically overpaying for players, and you're getting like bad results. You've been getting that for years. Like you're paying these guys, not in terms of Chase Young, because he's still on his rookie deal, but like you would have had to pay these two guys, or one of them at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're overpaying. They've overpaid for players for years and just got the same results of just mediocrity, or just mediocrity for years.
Yeah.
Years and years. So I think the new owner, I do agree with you. I think this is an owner's call. He went in and he's just like trying to clean house, trying to get more picks. I think they have, this will be they have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds now.
I'm gonna tell them to you. I just found out we have our first, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, a 4th, and a 5th. Yeah.
So I mean, they can always package a player and a draft pick, or a couple of draft picks, and move up. The Bears pick is going to be is obviously is a 2nd round pick, but you're also going to have a high 2nd round pick because the Bears are bad. So it's going to be in the early 30s. 49ers pick is going to be probably a late 3rd round pick, just because the 49ers are probably going to be in the playoffs.
I think it's compensatory. I think it's
couldn't trade compensatory picks.
That's what I heard. Let me find out, because I heard it was compensatory.
I know the 49ers have 3 compensatory picks in the 3rd round, or excuse me, 2 compensatory picks in the 3rd round. They also had their own 3rd round pick, so I'm not sure which one that they traded.
All right, but I'll look it up. Go ahead, continue.
But I think it's a really good deal for the Commanders, because now they can just build off of. They can just go pretty much like you said, clean house. The owner can bring in his own new group of coaches. They can start over, and then whoever they bring in, they'll have 5 picks in the first three rounds to figure out what they want to do. If they want to move up, they get a quarterback. If they want to draft offensive linemen, because this last draft for Washington so far hasn't really worked out for them. So they need to go in a different direction. Definitely the offensive line could use some help. The quarterback, they want a new quarterback, unless Sam Howell turns it around and does something spectacular. So they have some holes to fill. And it seems like they're just in, I'm not saying tank mode, but they're pretty much in tank mode, I guess. So I don't think they're going to get the top overall pick, but I think they could get the quarterback from Washington. I can't remember his name. Or they could get a couple. I mean, there's a couple of really good players. Drake May might be there. Like
Michael Penix.
Penix. It's going to be some really good quarterbacks there that they can pick. So, and for the other teams, the Bears, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're looking for the future or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know if I guess they would still have to pay Montez at the end of the season if they wanted to keep him, or I guess they could franchise tag him or whatever the case may be. Chase Young, I mean, that 49ers defense it was already really good, but now it gets a lot better. I mean, they have some free agents that they have to figure out if they want to keep, including Chase. But he's going to be on one side, and the other side you got Bosa. I mean, that defensive line is going to be crazy. And the good part is, I guess, is that they play the 49ers in like the second last week of the season, so week 17.
Mm-hmm.
So week 17. They played is it week 17?
What?
Whatever the second to last week of the season is. I think it's week 17. The Commanders play the 49ers. So I'm looking forward to that game even more now.
It's week 17. I think it's week 17.
So
it's either week 16 or 17, but it's like really late.
Yeah, I'll keep forgetting one. It's week 17. And then the other one that kind of stood out to me, I guess, was the Joshua Dobbs trade, because the Vikings right now they're back into the playoff hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirk Cousins is the reason why they're back in the playoff hunt, or one of the reasons majorly because they don't have Justin Jefferson. They finally scored their first rushing touchdown of the season last week. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty much all Kirk Cousins. Hunter, who they thought was going to get traded possibly, I think if they had lost this game last week, they probably would have traded them because they'd have been 3-5 and they would have lost their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now that they're 4-4, getting Dobbs, I mean, it's not the splashiest move. I thought, I didn't really know who was out there that was available.
Yeah.
I know I was thinking Taylor Heineke, but he's promoted now to start on top of Desmond Ritter. So I just think his veteran leadership, and plus he knows Kirk. I think he knows Kirk Cousins. They're on the same team together, him and Heineke. But I think Taylor Heineke has that experience.
I don't know, maybe.
He has experience over top of Dobbs that I think he could have made something, even though he's not like a big time splashy quarterback himself. But I see how that works when Justin Jefferson gets back. Dobbs can at least scramble and get out of the pocket a little bit, but I want to see what happens going forward, because they got a big game coming up this week against the Falcons, I believe, and they're both 4-4. So I think they play the Falcons. Whoever they play, I think has the same record as them. So it's going to be interesting the rest of the season for the Vikings to see if they can make some noise. But
mm-hmm.
I guess the only one that was kind of a head scratcher was Peoples-Jones going to the Lions. I don't know. I think they needed to focus on D line, because they really only have one good pass rusher. Even though the defense has improved, I thought they should have went after another pass rusher. I don't know. Maybe they did and they just couldn't get one. I don't know if they tried to go after Sweat or Young or whatever the case may be, but I didn't think wide receiver was their issue. So I just thought that they could have gotten a better trade if they went after a D line, but I don't know what their focus was.
Yeah, I'm surprised that somebody said this is the most boring trade line. I think last year trade deadline was a little bit more. I think we talked about it for a minute. It was some shockers last year. I like Joshua Dobbs to the Vikings. I like that. I think they. With Dobbs, they're in the hunt.
Yeah,
they're in the hunt. We've talked about this. The NFC is the NFC right now. The playoff picture for the NFC is very top heavy, guys. Right? It's like you got the Eagles, Lions, Seahawks, Cowboys, and 49ers. After that, it's a crapshoot. And if the season ended today, the Lions would be in the play. The Vikings be in the playoffs. They currently have the 7th seed. And the Falcons have the 4th seed. But the NFC, we don't know who's going to win the South. That's up in the air at this point, right? And let's just say this. We're going to say this is a fact. People can argue with me, but I don't think nobody will. I think the Eagles, the Lions, the Seahawks, the Cowboys, and the 49ers are going to the playoffs. Would you disagree?
Nah, those 5.
Pretty solid, right? You got the other two playoff spots up for grab, and at this point, they're anybody's. Well, not anybody's, but it could be. It could be the Bucks. It could be the Saints. It could be the Vikings. It could be the Falcons. It's in the air. I'm not saying the Commanders, guys. That's not happening. And I'm not saying the Packers.
I had the Packers in, but they're playing like
I think we both did. Jordan Love is more on him later. He's just let me down this year. But yeah, I mean, it could be anybody. So we're gonna see. This is gonna be interesting. The AFC is more. We're starting to fill that out as well. So I love it. This is what we watch sports for, guys. This is it. Now, Craig, let me ask you this. 49ers are on a bye week. They've lost 3 in a row. Should the 49ers be worried about Brock Purdy?
I'm gonna say no, just because I think if you're worried about Brock Purdy, then your only other answer right now is Sam Darnold. So it means you're really confident in Sam Darnold. But I just think that with Debo out, with Trent Williams out, that's 2 of your best players on offense that are not playing right now. I think once he gets those guys back, I think it'll be a lot easier for him. He just needs to. I don't know if he's in his own head or whatever it is, but he's turned the ball over a couple times, making some bad mistakes. His team's getting behind, and he's trying to bring the team back. He's made some questionable throws, but I don't think it's time to bail on Brock Purdy just yet. I think after this bye week, you just reset, you regroup. I mean, the team is only 5-3. It's not like they're 3-5 or something like that. So they're still in the playoff hunt. They're still gonna. I think they're definitely gonna make the playoffs. So it's just Brock Purdy needs to get his confidence back. I mean, you really didn't have any high expectations. At least I didn't. But I mean, I guess when you take your team to the NFC Championship game, your expectations get raised a little bit. So, but he just has to figure it out. I mean, I think he's going to figure it out. He's got one of the best running backs in the league back there, so you don't have to really do too much. You got a really good tight end, even Brandon Ayuk, even if Debo's not there. So they just got to put him in better spots. The coaches call plays that he can be comfortable with. Kind of go back to what worked the first 5 weeks before you ran into this 3-game losing streak.
Yeah,
and just figure it out. Like, I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to be all right. I'm not sure. I can't remember who they played coming out of the bye week, but I think that's
we're gonna go over that. I got you. We're gonna tackle that. I got I got you.
That's basically a must-win game for them. I mean, okay. Oops. That's gonna be a tough game. So,
no,
it's in terms of him getting right and getting that confidence back.
Yeah,
coming out of the bye week, that game in week 10 against the Jaguars is a must-win game.
Yeah,
you're gonna fall to 5-4 at that point if you lose, and then the Seahawks got the Commanders that week. The Seahawks already had their bye week; they could be 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to fall too far behind the Seahawks in your own division, and they still got to play them twice. So,
yep.
Brock Purdy, man, he just has to figure it out, and I think he's going to.
Yeah. So guys, I'm really bad at dad jokes, but I make myself laugh. So here's my headline: Did Brock ruin the Purdy? Bam, like party Purdy. Anyway, just don't let's not get into that. All I'm saying is I think that we have to temper expectations, and it's fair. Like, I think that this is how hard it is to quarterback in the NFL. We don't understand the value of Lamar Jackson when Lamar Jackson didn't have a defense, he didn't have receivers, and he still wins 70% of his games. That's why I'm like, don't forget, like, why Lamar's the top tier, why Dak's a good quarterback. It's just hard to be a quarterback in the NFL. I think that they haven't been running the ball. It's hard to come back when you're down. It's hard. And the reason they're winning is because they're playing ferocious defense. They're being physical. They hit you in the mouth. They run the ball. It's old school, which allows Purdy to have more freedom, right? The play action's working better. The rollouts are working better. But when you stop the run game and just focus on Purdy, you see his limitations. And it's just not a knock on Purdy. It's just that he's not a Dak Prescott. He could be. He could be. That's his ceiling, Kirk Cousins, Dak, but he's not going any higher than that. And then to be honest with you, Kirk Cousins beat the San Francisco 49ers by being better than Purdy because he lost Justin Jefferson and didn't have a run game and his defense sucked. His defense played good that game against the 49ers, but I think we should temper expectations for Brock Purdy because I think we get involved in this bubble that we think what a quarterback is, and sometimes we're totally wrong because we're fans and critics and we're not seeing the practices or playing the games. And that's just the bottom line to it. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Brock Purdy's human. It happens. Now, to your point, next they have a bye week. They play the Jags. That's probably going to be on Who You Got, guys. Tune in that time. That'll be on Who You Got. Then they have the Bucks. So the 49ers and Jaguars are definitely a must-win. And the Bucks are a must-win. So, and the Jaguars aren't – it's not going to be no easy cakewalk. The Jaguars, they're not an easy cakewalk team. They might beat them, but we got to see. Then they have the Bucks. Then they have the Seahawks, which the Seahawks, like you said, Craig, they could be, 7-2?
Yeah.
They could be 7-2. That's a pivotal game. They don't want to lose, because if they lose to Jacksonville, they'll be 5-4. Then they'll be 6-4 with a divisional game in Seattle. Then they have the Eagles, which they're the Eagles. Then they have the Seahawks again. Now it gets light with the Cardinals. Then they got the Ravens on Christmas. Then it gets light with the Commanders and light with the Rams. So they can finish up with 2 wins, but they can finish out the year 3-1. But that Ravens, that is not the Ravens, Seahawks twice, 49ers and Jacksonville's. That's not an easy schedule. That's not an easy schedule. They're only playing 1, 2, 3, 4 teams under 500. 4, 5, and 5 teams over 500. So we'll see. We'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. All right, guys. Now listen. I'm gonna start off with this one. Now we all know that the NFL MVP award is a quarterback award. Nobody wants to say it, but it's the truth. Like, come on, guys. The last non-quarterback to win the NFL MVP was Adrian Peterson, right? When he co-hosted it with Peyton Manning. I think I'm pretty correct on my fact checks. And then Adrian Peterson had to do something phenomenal, run for 2,000 yards after he tore his ACL. I love all day. Adrian Peterson, one of my favorite players. Definitely, hopefully, first ballot Hall of Fame running back. That was the last time. I think this time it needs to be considered, and I think that if Tyreek Hill continues on this streak, breaks the record with receiving yards, I think we got to give it to him. I think we got to give it to Tyreek Hill. I love Tua, but Tyreek Hill is doing something dynamic and phenomenal, and he's on a tear that nobody's ever seen in the NFL. I mean, he's building a resume as, one of the most dangerous receivers in NFL history. He's probably going to make another. Even though that first All-Decade team, everybody say he made All-Decade team, but he made it as a punt return. He's definitely going to make it as a receiver on this All-Decade team. There's no denying it. And his speed has probably changed the game away. Teams probably draft receivers because his impact on the game is impeccable. You want to do man, he's going to burn you. You want to do zone, he's going to burn you. He's the best weapon in the NFL. And I know they changed the format of how you do MVPs, but come on, NFL. If you're listening, voters, if you're listening, vote for Tyreek Hill for MVP. If he keeps this up and stays healthy. Craig, what are your thoughts on Tyreek Hill being MVP?
I mean, he could be MVP. I don't know if he's probably not going to get it. He's probably going to get the Offensive Player of the Year award.
Sad, man.
Which I think he'll get some votes, but I just don't think he's going to get MVP. Unless he does something special. He's already got over 1,000 yards in 8 games, so he's on pace to get easily over 2,000 and 16 over 16, 17 touchdowns.
Yeah.
With 120 plus catches. So, the way the quarterbacks are playing right now, nobody's really standing out. Patrick Mahomes just had his worst game that probably ever.
His career, probably.
Tua's got 5 or 6 picks, I think 5 or something like that.
Trevor Lawrence isn't playing.
Hill's on his team.
Lamar.
Joe Burrow started out slow.
Yeah.
Josh Allen hasn't really done much. He's done a lot of picks. Lamar's running for yards, but his receivers are letting him down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's. I guess if this was the year that it's going to go to a non-quarterback.
Jalen Hurts isn't having.
He has a lot of picks too. Even though Dak's whack. Even though AJ Brown has been 6 straight games with over 125 yards in those games on the receiver ever to do it. You really look at Hurts as the guy, especially after his season that he had last year, and he was the MVP candidate until he got hurt. His season so far he's done a lot of picks. Mm-hmm. So I guess if it was going to go to an MVP or a non-quarterback, at first I was saying Christian McCaffrey, but his numbers have tailed off. Even though he scored in how many games in a row? 16, 14, whatever.
That's a lot of number of games he scored straight. I think
record. He tied the record. He won more and he breaks it. So I think that he if there was going to be a guy that's going to win MVP, that's non-quarterback, this could probably be the year, especially how he started out and how the other quarterbacks have kind of stayed the same. Nobody's really separating themselves so far, except probably maybe Tua is probably the candidate, the leading candidate right now. Yeah. But if you look at Tua, he has Tyreek Hill. So you look at Tua, you got to look at Hill as well. And Tua makes Hill go, Hill makes Tua go. But I want to see if he can, like you said, if he can keep this up. And I want to see if there's another, I guess not another, but if there's going to be a quarterback that's going to start emerging and separating themselves a little bit from this group, because it seems like it changes. Definitely it changes week to week. Because last week or a few weeks ago, it was Mahomes was going to be MVP again. Before that, it was Tua. I heard Josh Allen in there at some point, and now I don't know who the leading candidate is, but I think Hill's definitely got to be in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what happens, man. If he can keep this up and no quarterback really steps up, I think you have to give it to him.
It's kind of I just hope it will be I think it'll be phenomenal for the NFL. The most, it's 13. Christian McCaffrey had 13 games. That's a 49er record. I think he broke Jerry Rice. I think Jerry Rice held it.
No, he's got more than that now. I think he's at 6. I thought he was. He tied the NFL record.
Let me see. Because it has the most scrimmage yards, 1,000. Most receptions. Yeah, it says
17. That's what it is.
17.
He recorded a record, 17 straight games, tying
for the touchdown. Okay.
tying Lenny Moore. That's what it is.
Okay.
So the next one he'll break it.
Oh, he broke it. Okay, that's why.
Well, no, he tied the record. He hadn't broke it yet.
No, for
for
the 49er record.
Yeah,
That's why.
Let's say he broke that one.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's at 17. I mean, he's just not getting the carries.
Yeah.
And he's not getting the yardage that he was in the first 5 weeks.
I mean, Trent Williams got hurt, man. It matters.
Definitely the carries. So
Trent Williams is a Hall of Fame left tackle. I should know because Commanders screwed him over. Anyway, neither here or there. All right. So now I took a list of about 2, 4, 6, 8 teams in the NFL, a mixture of NFC and a mixture of AFC, of which teams, because this type of season, like I said this last week, this time of season, we start to see a separation, guys. You'll still see some upsets alerts, but most times, I mean, upset alert happens every week in the NFL, but most times you're going to start seeing the good teams separate from the bad teams. It's going to be more emphasis on it because this time of the year, number one, nobody's fully healthy this time of the year. Everybody's hurt. It's November. It's Thanksgiving. Teams have film. We're in 8 week of the season. Teams have film now. Like, that's another reason why Brock Purdy didn't do good, because teams not have film on them, right? That's what the NFL does. Oh, what did this team do good that this team didn't do? Let's take advantage of it. But this is where you start to see the separate of the contenders and the pretenders. So, Craig, are the Jags contenders or pretenders?
I got them as contenders. I had them as pretenders, but I changed it to contenders. I think. I mean, they won. They won like 5 straight right now, or 4 or 5 straight. 5 straight. So the team is starting to come around. Travis Etienne is a touchdown machine. He's scoring, it seems like, every week, at least one touchdown. If they can find a way to get, I guess, I mean, they kind of started the force feed last week, Calvin Ridley the ball a little bit more. He had some drops earlier on, which, I mean, he's been out of football for over a year now, or at what he was out of football for about a year, or over a year. He missed all the last season. So just trying to get him involved and get his confidence up. The defense is playing really, really well. Mm-hmm. I want to see what happens in a couple of weeks when they play the 49ers. That's going to be a really, really interesting game. Their division is obviously weak, so it's not like they have a lot to go on there in terms of challenges from their own division. They gave the Chiefs in their first game, or in their first loss, they gave the Chiefs a nice run. They only allowed 17 points. Mm-hmm. They got blown up by the Texans, which was that's when I started to doubt the team a little bit. Maybe they weren't the team who I thought they were, but now they reeled off 5 straight, and they got a chance after their bye week to go 6 straight. It's going to be a tough game, like I said, but I think they can get it done. Trevor Lawrence is playing. He's not putting up phenomenal numbers. He's not putting up MVP type numbers or anything like that. I think he only has like 8 touchdowns. So it's not like he's out there setting the world on fire, but he's got some really good weapons around him. The team is playing well. If they can keep this pace going, I definitely think they can be in that contender range. And I got them there right now. Coming out of the bye week against the 49ers is going to tell me a lot. So if they can beat that team, I definitely think I feel a little bit more confident about them going forward.
They're in a weird spot for me. And one of the people I like, he likes Nick Wright, likes Trevor Lawrence, he likes Jacksonville. I'm not sold. I think they're pretenders. I want to see them start to beat the good teams, and unfortunately their schedule is soft, but we're going to know next week because I believe they're on the bye and the 49ers are on the bye. So, I mean, it's two teams coming off the bye. I I can't really wait. And then they play each other. I think then we'll be able to see how good they are. Uh, I think San Francisco will be a good test for them. I know I say this a lot. I got to see a little bit more, but that's just how I am, man. I'm a Commanders fan. That's why I got to see a little bit more, guys. Okay. I think Trevor Lawrence needs to play well. I think their defense is spotty at times, and their offense isn't clicking enough for me. And that's just what I need to see out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's it. Uh, do they have the potential? Yes, they do. But right now, they're pretenders. Now, Craig, I don't know why I have this team on here. I think I just put the teams on here. This is going to be a quick one. The Chiefs, I think they're contenders.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's easy. We're going to skip over that one, guys, because the records speak for themselves. They've been in 5 straight AFC championship games and been to 3 Super Bowls, won 2 of them, including last year. And they have the rating in NFL MVP. So they're contenders. Craig, Ravens, contenders or pretenders? Oh, it's a good one.
I'm gonna say contenders, but it's
a thin line.
I mean I don't feel it's kind of like the Jaguars.
Yeah,
it could go either way. I don't feel just because I mean I'm not confident in their receivers. If you get the Ravens team that comes out and plays against the Lions and just beats the Lions, okay, that's definitely a contender, a top contender. If you get the team that comes out and has all these drops and just loses the game like they played against the Steelers, I mean that's not a contender. To me, that's a pretender. Granted, their record is 6-2. They could be 8-0, or they could be 4-4. Like you just never know. That game against last week. I mean, even though they only ended up winning about 7 against the Cardinals, it wasn't like the most dominant game. That's why I picked the Cardinals last week to my upset. They could have put it off. They almost put it off. They even recovered that onside kick late, and they had a chance, but just came up a little short. But the defense is going to be there. Lamar is going to be there as long as he stays healthy, and that's another thing is the health. That's kind of because it's been the last 2 years, but I think if he can stay healthy and the receivers can start turning it around, Zay Flowers looks good. Obviously, they have Mark Andrews. Bateman's kind of shown up a little bit the last couple of weeks. Odell, I haven't been sold on Odell in years. I've been saying it for a while. He hasn't looked good. I mean, at this point, he's just got to be there to just give experience to some of these younger guys, and just be that like uncle or whatever. So I'm going to lean contender right now. I want to see what happens going forward. They got a tough game coming up this week with Seattle and then the Browns and then the Bengals. So we'll see. But that's where I mean. All 3 of those games are at home too, so they should be favored in all those games.
We'll see if they're favored.
I got them as a contender right now.
All right, the Ravens I have as a contender. Shocking. No, it's not, man. I mean, Lamar Jackson is just a good NFL quarterback. I think, I picked him to go pretty far. I got them losing to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I want to see their offense just a little bit better. Just a little bit. Receivers catch the ball. I wish they would have traded. I heard they were going to trade for Derrick Henry. I think that might have put them over the top if they traded for Derrick Henry. He just fits Baltimore and that running game with Derrick Henry and Lamar. That if they got Derrick Henry, I'd be like, Lamar might win it. And then if Lamar wins the Super Bowl, I mean, that's just. I think he eventually will. I think he'll be considered, nobody's going to understand or respect Lamar until he wins a Super Bowl and another MVP. And then they're going to be like, oh, you know what? He runs. And it's like, well, He's a quarterback. You just haven't seen anything like him, and he deserves his money because he won 70% of their games with him in the lineup. Not a lot of quarterbacks do that. Ask Derek Carr. It just doesn't exist. Ask Baker Mayfield. It just doesn't exist. But I think their defense is good. I just agree with I agree with you. Their receivers got to tighten up and catch the ball. Lions, are they a contender or pretender? I think.
Well, boy.
What you think? What you think?
I got him as a. See, the crazy. I'm going to contradict myself, I guess, because I have him in the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm. You reeling it back? I was about to say I thought you had him pretty high.
I did. I still do. The thing is that I guess I want to see more. Like I think they could probably still be there, but right now, just because they haven't beaten. I mean, outside of they did beat the Chiefs. I give them that. The Chiefs didn't have Travis Kelce though. They didn't have Kelce, so I mean, the offense could have definitely would have looked a lot different. So right now, I got to go pretenders. It's nothing really against the Lions. I think they've done a phenomenal job. But I mean, look, they beat the Falcons, the Packers, the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Raiders. Like they haven't really beaten anybody yet. Next week they got the Chargers and then the Bears. And this is no fault of their own. I mean, this is the schedule. This is who's on the schedule.
Yeah.
So I mean, they lost to the Seahawks, they lost to the Ravens, and they beat the Chiefs. So they really, I mean, you know, it's no, like I said, it's no fault of their own. They're playing who's on the schedule, but I just need to see more out of this team. I think their defense looks a lot better. Once Montgomery comes back, the running game's going to be more dynamic and more versatile. They just traded for Peoples Jones. I don't really know how that's going to work, but I think I'm going to say St. Brown is really good. Laporta is really good. Golf looks really good. It looks comfortable. It's just I'm just not. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not. I want to see him beat a really good team. I want to see him play a really good team and beat a really good team, especially on with some of these. Because I mean, look at. I don't even know if there's really anything like that on the schedule remaining, except for maybe at the Saints and at the Cowboys. So I mean, they haven't played the Vikings yet, and they got a Vikings team with no Kirk Cousins now. So what looked like maybe a tough game late in the season, now might be an easier game. So they're playing who's on the schedule. I get it. It's an easy schedule. It's a cake schedule. But, I mean, I think their toughest opponent now left is the Saints and the Cowboys on the road. So we'll see what happens. But it's a slight pretender right now, even though I still got them going to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's weird.
I agree. I just think that looking at the schedule, I think that they beat the Chiefs. They lost to the Ravens. Bad. And they lost to Seahawks close. But this is what matters in the NFL. And this is why we'll see next year because their schedule is going to be hard. We're going to get that out of the way. Their schedule is going to look completely different next year. So they've got to get used to winning. But it's a quite possibility they can have the number one seed and end up losing to the Cowboys. Or the Eagles, or the Seahawks, or the 49ers. Because their schedule is, when I say cupcake, take that thing, listen. These cupcakes are freshly baked. Because this schedule is crazy. They have the Chargers, Bears. These games are all in a row, guys. These are games are all in a row. I believe they're on a bye. So they have the Chargers after a bye, the Bears, the Packers, the Saints, who we don't know how good the Saints are going to be. We don't. That could be 4 wins in a row. Then they have the Bears, the Broncos, the Vikings. I do see them dropping one of those weird games to the Vikings, and then they got the Cowboys. So they could potentially win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more games. Jeez. That's 13?
Yeah.
13-3. I mean, that's what their schedule's saying. And they got a home playoff game. And I can only imagine that Ford Field will be rocking. A playoff game in Detroit. But I think they're pretenders. I'm gonna start off with this one. The Eagles. I gotta go contenders. This is gonna be quick. Uh, anytime I know Jalen Hurts isn't playing as I know he's not playing up to the MVP that we all know him to be. Right? It's like, okay, you know what? He's not playing. Right? But let's just think about how good this Eagles team is. This Eagles team, right? This Eagles team, when Jalen Hurts was the starter, they got the number one seed last year, right? They beat the Lions, they beat the Vikings, they beat the Commanders, the Cardinals, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Texans, we beat them. We beat them. That was November 14th. They they've beaten the Colts, the Packers, the Titans, the Bears, the Giants. They lost to the Cowboys December 24th, 2022. They lost to the Saints. Those two games, I believe Jalen Hurts was not available. All right? They've won against the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles won against the Eagles. Okay, guys. The Eagles won against the Giants. They won against the Giants. They beat the 49ers. They lost to the Chiefs, right? Then they start off this season, and they're 6-1. That means over the past 2 years, Jalen Hurts might have lost one game. Maybe, because you can't count that he lost those two because he didn't start. Gardner Minshew did. So if you count that he lost the Super Bowl and then he lost to the Commanders
This year?
last year, including this year.
Well, this year he lost.
He's only had 2 losses. So he's had 3 losses in almost 2 years of playing football. He lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He lost to the Commanders last year. And that was November 14th. And then this year, they lost to the Jets. I think they're contenders, man. Anytime you have Jalen Hurts, you're gonna win. What are your thoughts on the Eagles? Is this another quick one? Yeah, I just had to repeat that, because his quarterback wins is getting. If they go 13-3 again this year, he doesn't lose a lot of games.
The Eagles are contenders. It's not even gonna. They're just contenders. I think their defense has to play better, and so does Jalen Hurts. He stopped turning the ball over, but other than that, it's definitely contenders.
Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts doesn't lose. Here's a good one: Seahawks, contenders or pretenders?
Seahawks are. I got the Seahawks as a pretender right now. I didn't see the Seahawks being as good as they were last year. Mm-hmm. This year they started out really, really good. Obviously, they're 6-2. Give me 5-2. I'm sorry, 5-2. And they play. I mean, outside of that Rams game where they first game of the season where they got blown out. I mean, all the other games have been either a win or the only other loss has been to the Bengals. That was a close game that they could have won. Their defense is. I mean, they have 2 really good corners. Arguably the best corner duo right now in the NFL. I want to see what happens with the Dolphins, but and the Eagles. I mean, they're hit or miss sometimes, but they got some really good. They got two really good young cornerbacks, man. I mean, I don't know if the Legion of Boom is in part 2.0 is coming back, but I mean, they got something going there with that group. I kind of want to see what happens with Geno if he can keep it up. I mean, he's started out well. He started out well so far this season.
Yeah.
But he's had some picks here and there. He's got like 6 picks or something like that. Like still kind of figuring it out. Like I know last year was his. I'm not gonna say coming out party because he's old, but it was his comeback year, I guess. So people he can still play this position, but as of right now, the team is not playing that well with him, even though they're winning games. I need to see him a little bit more from Geno going forward. This week coming up though, if they can beat the Ravens, then I like I said about the not the Jaguars. Like I said about the Lions. Beat some of these tougher teams, and I'll probably change my opinion on them.
Mm-hmm.
They got to beat the Ravens. It's going to be a tough game in Baltimore. If they can beat the Ravens going from West Coast to East Coast playing a 1:00 game, I think I might change my tune on them just a little bit. But as of right now, I got them as pretender.
I kind of they're one of those teams that on a like slippery slope between contender and pretender. Like this one kind of got me there, because they've beaten teams over 500, but I need to see them beat more teams over 500. Geno Smith's not having the year I want him to have, but I think I picked them to win the NFC West with a good record. So, I think they're good. I don't want to pick. We're going to revisit this topic, guys, in like 3 weeks. I'm going to make note of this because maybe 4 weeks, two and 2 games. Right? What you think? 4 weeks? We can revisit this.
Yeah, we can go. Yeah,
4 games, maybe 5.
Something like that. Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5 games, guys. Because then I got the Seahawks. They're on that line, but right now I'm kind of on Craig's side as the pretenders. I think they have the moxie to be contenders, but we just haven't seen it yet. Now they've made some trades, so Leonard Williams to them is going to bolster their defense, which is already good. Is their defense has tightened up in the past couple weeks, and I think Geno worries me a little bit, so that's why I kind of have them. I don't know how you feel about this next one, but I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl, I believe, or the NFC Championship game. And I'm a Commanders fan, so this is blasphemy, whatever. People, listen, I love football too much to be biased. I'm fair. I think the Cowboys are a contender. I think their defense is good. I think they've gotten CeeDee Lamb involved. And I want to see them play against better teams, but I think they're up for it. I think this week is going to be huge for them. But they beat really bad teams. And except for the Cardinals. But who says the Cardinals aren't bad? I don't think they are.
They lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's why I said they lost to the Cardinals, but some people think their Cardinals are really bad. I said I don't think they are. I don't think the Cardinals are. I think of all the bottom teams, I think the Cardinals are better than them. I think they play harder than the Bears. I think that's just me. The record doesn't reflect how hard they play, not how good they are, guys. You're not getting me there. I'm just saying how hard they play. They're still a bad team, but I think the Cowboys are contenders now. We're going to see because they got the Eagles, but see, look, then they have the Giants, the Cowboys. I'm sorry, they have the Giants, the Panthers, and the Commanders. They're gonna. That's three. That's three easy wins. I already. There's three easy wins. We don't listen, and we're gonna get punished on Thanksgiving, but it's okay. At least I'll be off of work and I'll enjoy my turkey. Um, so and that game is not gonna be on Who You Got. So thank goodness. So I think the Cowboys are contenders. It's not gonna be there because we're gonna suck. Craig, Cowboys contenders or pretenders?
They are contenders, but it's the Cowboys, so I'm just going to assume that they're going to just throw up on themselves at some point in time, whether it's in the playoffs or maybe like late in the season, and then they go from like having a chance for the 1 seed, and they end up getting like the 6th seed or something like that, and having to go on the road. So obviously they have a lot of talent. That goes without saying, but Dak Prescott. He finally had a phenomenal game or something like it. It took him a while. I can't remember the last time Dak had this type of game, but even though he still threw a pick, but he got CeeDee Lamb involved. The running game still needs some work. I thought they should have probably traded for a corner, or they could have traded for a running back to give Pollard some help, because I don't think Pollard's a true number one by himself. Mm-hmm. So going forward, if he can continue to get Lamb involved, and the defense can continue to get turnovers and get the offense short fields, or get turnovers and get pick sixes or whatever it is, and just give Dallas the lead, that's where they're most comfortable at, is having the lead, because team trying to play catch up to the Cowboys. You start pressing a little bit, maybe start turning the ball over more. Cowboys have a solid defense. I did pick him to go to the Super Bowl, but I know eventually they're going to lose. So I had them losing. So I want to say contender just because of the talent. But just like you piggybacking on what you said, they haven't played anybody at all. So this will be the toughest, except for the Niners, and that's the team that they got blown out by.
Blown out.
So this is going to be another tough one. It's a division game. The Eagles haven't looked good in their division game so far, at least against the Commanders. Like, they just didn't show up. The defense didn't show up. So maybe at home in a tougher team, a better team coming in with the division on the line, and you got arguably the two best teams right now in the NFC playing each other. Yeah, maybe that'll get them going, but. This is a big game for the Cowboys. It's their first tough task. After this game, they don't have another tough one until
they don't have. I just looked at schedule.
The Seahawks. So you got to go all the way then. So even if they don't get this win, they
got 3 like easy games back to back to back.
They can beat the next 3 teams. They can possibly even beat the Seahawks because they're at home.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I definitely think they're contenders, but. They gotta beat some team. Like, this is a big game for them. So
this is a big game, and I can't wait because we're gonna talk about it later on. Who you got? Last team is the Dolphins. I was kind of shocked that I picked them to go to the playoffs, but they're pretenders. They don't really beat good teams. And listen, a lot of teams going here don't, but okay, here's one. I don't think Dallas is going to lose 31-17 to the Eagles. I think that's going to be a closer game. But I just think we'll see Chiefs versus Dolphins in London after Chiefs on the letdown game. The Bills beat them 48-20. Like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'll be wrong in 5 weeks because they have Jalen Ramsey back. Maybe. But as of right now, I don't think you're a contender when you lose by, I don't know. Cowboys are, but they aren't. Yeah, that sounds crazy, but I gotta see more from them. They're kind of on the fringe. I lean more pretender because they're so if it's a bad team, we crush them. But if it's a good team, we lose to them badly. And their offense is good. I wish Jalen Waddle would be clicking more. Tyreek Hill's phenomenal. Tua's been playing good. But I just want to see more consistent wins against good teams. Kind of like all the other pretenders that we said. So it's going to be very interesting to see. We're going to get back on them in 5 weeks. But after the Chiefs, they got the Raiders, the Jets, the Commanders, and the Titans. Then the Jets again. And then they have the Cowboys Christmas Eve. Oh, that's going to be a nice one. So, even if they lose to the Chiefs, they can go on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-game winning streak. So we'll see. I just think they're pretenders. What's your thoughts on the Dolphins?
I got them as contenders. It's slight. I kind of agree with you I do agree with you with the schedule that they've had. They haven't beaten anybody on the schedule. It's like the Cowboys, or some of these other teams that haven't really played anybody so far. And when they do play somebody, they get beat. So definitely think they got to figure that out. Even though they're playing the Chiefs, it's a really good team. It's not a true road game. It's not a true home game or nothing like that. So, but it's still a really good, tough task for them. I wish I don't know why they put this game in Germany.
I don't know, man. It should be a Monday night
or Sunday night game or something. Like, anyway.
Yeah, it
should be something like that. Primetime game. But
yeah, I would have switched the Jets and the Chargers.
This is I don't know if they could flex this out though, but
no, they can't. But I would have put that game.
Oh yeah, just in general, yeah. Because I mean, yeah. But I think this is going to be a tough game for them going forward against the Chiefs. If they can win this game, I definitely think that'll put a lot of my hesitations about this team going forward as a contender or as a pretender, kind of farther in the rear view mirror. I think that they definitely have Hill, who's very dynamic, like we talked about earlier. They have Tua, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. They have Waddle. I think when they get H-Chain back or H-Chain back.
Yeah, H-Chain. Yeah.
And if he's anything like he was before he got hurt, I think the offense is going to be a lot better. I think their defense is part of the question marks, but I think now that they got Jalen Ramsey back, that helps at least half that one side of the field. He can try to take away some of that pressure off of the secondary a little bit, because now you got to really worry about him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and after this Chiefs game is really not a tough game for them. Maybe the Jets game at the Jets, and then they got the Cowboys. So they really only have to play a few more cold weather games, which as long as they're at home during the playoffs, which I think they have an inside path to get the number 2 seed home field advantage, at least in one of the
at least one game
overall. But this is
you say that mean like win the division?
Yeah, that's what I should have said.
They definitely got a chance to win the division. That's scary if they have a home playoff game.
This is going to be an interesting game. I just think the offense is too good to keep them to put him as a pretender, because how explosive that they can be. But some of these teams, man, they just got to figure out a way to beat some of these good teams to get more confidence from fans outside looking in, to be like, okay, yeah, that team is definitely a Super Bowl contending type team. So this is a big game coming up with the Chiefs.
Big game, man. This is gonna be interesting. We're gonna see. I mean, we're gonna talk about it later on who you got, guys. All right, it's time for my segment. Is it panic time or nah? And an NBA team is on it for the first time. It's the Clippers. Is it panic time or not? Yes, it is, because you still in the trade for James Harden. And if he doesn't have a good season and he wants to be traded, what do you do? If he doesn't get the touches, if he complains, if he doesn't get any playing time, because you know what? It's Kawhi Leonard and Paul George's team. Kawhi Leonard's the alpha dog. So we got to see James Harden We got to see Clippers. Is it panic time? Had you in the corner. And James, listen, I said this earlier. James Harden needs to teach a master class on how to get traded from NBA team. He needs to he needs to do a master class. If you're not in the situation that you don't want to be in, I can tell you how to get out of it, especially at your job. He's a master at that. Master. So back to the NFL. Is it panic time or not? The Rams. It's time, guys. You pay Matthew Stafford. You don't look good. You're young. You have a great young coach. But should you have paid Matthew Stafford all that money? His contract doesn't kick in the next year, and you have a chance. You have a first-round pick. What if you have the 4th pick in the draft and Michael Penix? What if you have the chance to draft Drake May? You're going to pass on him because you have Matthew Stafford. Good luck, Rams. Good luck, because it's time to panic. Is it time to panic or not for the Patriots? This is a weekly thing because they don't look good every week. They suck. Mac Jones regressing. Are you going to end up firing the greatest coach ever? His legacy in question now. Is it Tom? Mac Jones is a dirty player. Crazy to see a quarterback that's dirty. That's just flat out nasty. Okay? It's nasty. I just think it's just time to panic, man. I think 2-6 is bad. I didn't think they were gonna be this bad, Craig. This bad. I thought they'd be like around the Buccaneers, 3-4, 4-4, 3-5, but they're 2-6 and they've lost some bad games. Bad. Is it panic time or not? The Giants. What's up with New York teams? They can't never seem to get it right. They got it right with Eli, but gosh, everyone told you, including us. Me and Craig. We're on here. We told you guys, don't re-sign Daniel Jones. Y'all like to call him Danny Dimes. I don't refer to him that because he doesn't drop dimes. He drops and throws pick sixes and interceptions and knows you can't cash in, but the other team does. And they suck. Okay? What are the Giants doing? Maybe you sign Saquon and franchise Daniel Jones, or you don't sign either of them. But you sign Daniel Jones and you look crazy. Yes, it's time to panic because what do you do going forward? We'll draft Daniel Jones, a receiver. Maybe they get Marvin Harris in the second. Maybe. But is Daniel Jones going to be good with a good receiver? I don't think so. I think he's a bad quarterback. All right. Is it panic time for the Raiders? This is a weekly occurrence, guys. This is bad. And once again, I called it out. Devontae Adams, 1 target. You trade away Derek Carr to the Saints. Well, Derek Carr isn't a good quarterback. He's better than Garoppolo. Garoppolo doesn't throw the deep ball, but I guess you guys don't watch film. Guess you could just fix anything. Josh McDaniels. You have talent and core in this team. What's going on with the offense? Josh McDaniels is supposed to be offensive genius. They suck. Josh Jacobs is probably like, I don't even want to resign. No, get out of town. Devontae Adams is going to request a trade next year. Guess what this sounds like? Denver Broncos I'll draft Tim Tebow, win a playoff game, and cheat. I'll trade away Jay Cutler, and I'll trade away Brandon Marshall in their primes. That sounds so familiar. And then when Josh McDaniels does this again, and he trades away Devontae, and he drafts somebody like Bo Nix, and they suck again, he'll be fired. And he'll never coach in the NFL again. That's all, guys. That's all my it's the time to panic or not. And now Craig takes the stage on his top 5 list. Who's your top 5 list this week, Craig?
All right, so this week I have my top 5 NBA changes since COVID, which was 2020. So since it's been like 3 years now since that time happened. So I got 6, but I'm just gonna go ahead and then my 6th one is gonna be my honorable mention because I haven't seen it in action yet because it just started this year. So and that's the in-season tournament. I was gonna put it in my top 5, but I kind of want to see how it works out. I got faith in it because I mean it should be pretty interesting. I think the prize money and everything like that, the rules how it's set up, it seems pretty interesting. I just want to see how it's going to actually shake out. I know Adam Silver's very high on it. Some of the media's kind of indifferent on it, I think, but we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to
after your segment. I want your thoughts on something, but I'm gonna let you get to because it's very interesting about the tournament. I want to ask your thoughts on.
All right. I want to see. I do want to see how this tournament shakes out because it's kind of like it's interesting. It starts Friday, so
it's interesting.
So my actual top 5 is number 5. I have NBA national TV tip-off times.
Okay.
Before before COVID, the tip-off times were 8 p.m. and 10:30. 10:30, the game's not going to end till about around 1. If it goes in overtime, maybe 1:15, might even be 1:30, depending on commercials and stuff like that. So now the game starts at 7 or 7:30 for the first game, and 9:30 and 10 o'clock for the second game. So the second game might be over around 12 o'clock, which I mean, it's still kind of late, but it's not something in the morning. So sometimes I stay up and watch some of those late games, especially if it's a really interesting game, which is every time it's going to be a West Coast team or a team out there, maybe like the Mountain Time Zone or something like that, like Denver. But it's going to be a really interesting game. So sometimes I'll stick up for it. I'll stick around for it. So I just like the change that they made. Starting some of these games early. My number 4 is the NBA awards. I love the fact that they renamed some of these NBA awards after players. The All-Star MVP to the late great Kobe Bryant, the actual MVP after Michael Jordan, Rookie of the Year after the late Wilt Chamberlain, Coach of the Year, late Red Auerbach. NBA Finals Award has always been named after the Bill Russell, but then they went a step further. Other than these awards, Defensive Player of the Year, Hakeem Olajuwon, they went a step further, and now they got Eastern Conference and Western Conference Player. Eastern Conference and Western Conference MVPs named after Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, respectively. So that's pretty dope. Even the teams they get a Eastern Conference and Western Conference trophy, which is cool. Eastern Conference is after Bob Cousy, Western Conference is after Oscar Robertson, and then something I didn't even know is that they have trophies for each division winner, which is weird. But I mean,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. So I don't know if you know some of these people because I know a few of them, but like the Maurice Polidov trophy, I'm probably butchering that name. They got a Willis Reed trophy. So it just depends on it depends on which division that you win. So and there's 6 divisions, so kind of breaks it down a little bit even further. So I think the NBA award changes with the names are cool. It makes it more
that's pretty cool,
appealing, and it makes it more like rewarding to have like you won the Michael Jordan trophy, MVP trophy, or whatever it is. Number 3, I'm very high on this because I'm sick and tired of saying it, and that's load management. I love the fact that now that they've got a new load management rule, no more than one star is unavailable for the same game. Teams must ensure the star player are available for national TV and in-season tournament games. Teams must maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in home and road games. And teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdown when a star player stops participating in games in a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. So those are 4 new, I guess, rules under the big overarching rule, which is load management. And and they have a list of who they consider a star as well.
Yeah,
guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Zion Williamson, James Harden, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. So it's a decent amount of, I guess, stars. They even got Ben Simmons on here for whatever reason. That's the only guy that they got Mike Conley on here. So some guys that I don't think are stars, but they got them on this list anyway. So, well, I mean, it is what it is. I guess each team has a star representative for their individual team. So, but I love it, man. I'm so sick of players who are not hurt, whether it's the player saying it or whether it's the ownership or the coach saying it, that they should sit out. So this way it kind of alleviates all that. And we already had a situation like this with James Harden, who was out of games for whatever reason, and he wasn't an injury. So there was, I don't know if there still is, an investigation on that. So we'll see how that goes. But I do love the load management thing. Number 2 on my list is flopping. A new rule. Saw the first game of the season for the Knicks and the Celtics.
I know you've seen it.
There was a flop for Porzingis late in the game. He barely got touched, a little bit of a shove, and he just flopped to the ground. They called a technical foul on him. I love it.
I love it.
I'm so sick of the flopping in the NBA. I'm glad they finally did something about it. Under the new rule, when the player flops, the offending player will be charged with a non-unsportsmanlike technical foul, and the opposing team will be awarded 1 free throw attempt, which could be attempted by any player who was in the game when the technical foul is assessed. Not only that, you won't be ejected for flopping, but not only that, you will get fined starting at $2,000, and it'll increase every time for repeat offenders. So
could you get kicked out of it, because you know how if your texts add up?
I don't think you can't get ejected. I don't think there's a limit of how many flops. I just think you get charged in terms of money. You get fined every time. I could be wrong. I might have to look more into it, but I didn't see anything in terms.
I wonder if somebody gets 4 texts for flopping.
It says a player will not be ejected from a game based on flopping violations.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that would be something, right?
Yeah, that would be something. But I'm just glad that the NBA finally did something about the flopping, because it was getting out of control there for a while. It took them a while to get to this point, but same thing with load management. I'm glad they decided to do something about it. Both of those changes came this season. Same thing with the in-season tournament. And last but not least, I know a lot of people aren't high on this, but I like it, and that's the play-in tournament. Yeah. I like the play-in tournament. I think it gives more teams an opportunity to possibly make the playoffs and not have to start tanking and putting a lot of their players on the bench, so to speak, and just resting them.
Jimmy Butler and then went to the finals.
That's what I was about to say. You got a team like the Heat who finished 7th, and then they lost the first game, so they had to play for the 8th seed. They win the 8th seed, and they end up making to the finals. So you just never know, man. It's just you just never know. You don't want to just put it all just because you're the 10th seed that you can't possibly win. I mean, the Heat were basically playing for that, for the 8th seed. So if they had lost, they would have been out of the playoffs, and I guess per the standings, they would have finished 9th in the East. So everything. I mean, it all means something, and I like the fact that they decided to go this route. I was kind of against it at first. I wanted them to do the best the best 32 teams, or the best 16 teams to make the playoffs, East or West, at least in the bubble. That's what I wanted. I wanted them to try that out, see how it worked. If it worked out, then you could implement it into the NBA. But they decided to go a different route with the whole play-in the next season. So I love it, man. I'm here for it. I like teams that just keep playing until the end. And some of these teams, you just never know. You get hot at the right time, or something happens like Giannis gets hurt. Now all of a sudden you're in the second round, and you beat a Knicks team that you're supposed to lose to as well, and then you go 7 games to make it to the finals. Anything can happen, man. So I love it. And plus it's just extra basketball. So
that matters.
Yeah.
It's like the 7 playoff team. Oh, I want it to be 8. It's gonna be 8.
A lot of people keep saying this. You're
gonna be 8.
Tanking for the number 1 overall pick, but I mean you can't really tank in the NBA because you can, but I mean it's based off of ping pong
lottery, right? Yeah.
It's not like you get the worst record in the NBA and all of a sudden you get the number 1 seed. You have a good chance, but I think the top 3 teams who have the worst record all had like the same percentage chance, or at least the top 2, maybe top 2 or 3 had all the kind of the same percentage chance, or close around the same percentage chance to get the number 1 pick. So
that would be a game changer in NFL.
Yeah,
if you don't get the game, you're not guaranteed the number 1 pick, and you're in the lottery. I don't think owners will ever sign off on it.
Probably not, but I do like
tanking.
They do it a little bit different, and I'm for it. I'm here for it. I like it.
Yeah, they be tanking. That's why I'll never do it. Let me ask you this. Gilbert Arenas said this on his podcast. I want to ask your thoughts on this. He says he thinks the play-in tournament, if a team, as an incentive, if a team wins that, they get a lottery pick.
What? The play-in tournament? You win the play-in tournament?
No, not the play. I'm sorry. The in-season tournament. The in-season tournament. I'm sorry. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? It's not like, so think about a team like the Nuggets. If they win that, they would get, it doesn't take away from teams that, you can still tank, but you can get an extra lottery pick.
Yeah, but whose pick are you taking then? How would that, you have to give me the actual.
I wouldn't know. I think he said that would be a lottery pick. I don't know. It might be like top 5 or something. It would probably have to be worked out. But what do you think? It would be very interesting though if they were able to do it. Like if you win the in-season tournament, you get the top 8 pick or top 5 pick or top 10.
If it was a lottery pick, that goes to like the top
5,
14, because that's where the lottery stops. I believe. So it's 32 teams. 16 teams make the playoffs. So, or is it 30 teams? 30 teams. Right?
32.
So, yeah, it's 30 teams. So 16 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. It's 30.
At the lottery stops at 14. So, I mean, if you were to tell me,
let's say lottery pick, say they would get the 14th pick if they win the tournament. Let's say that.
I mean,
be interesting.
That's fine. But say.
Really interesting.
Say the Pistons win it, and the Pistons are bad, and the Pistons
they get 2 picks.
Would they get the second? Say they get the second overall pick. Would they get the second overall pick and the 14th pick?
Yeah, that would be a big incentive, man. And the in-season tournament so early, so teams that are resting their players could be affected by it. I was like, that's a very interesting idea. It doesn't hurt. It only helps teams. If you're like San Antonio and you win, and then you're bad, or the Pelicans, you have Zion and he's healthy, then y'all win the in-season tournament, you get the 14th pick, and then he gets hurt and you trade him to the Knicks, or you trade Brandon Ingram, and then y'all end up getting the 4th pick. It's interesting. It would give teams incentives, because it would give teams like Denver, like, hey, we can get a 14th pick versus they would be 32, right? 30th.
I mean, it I would have to
might need to work it out. Yeah.
I would have to see what the breakdown is between, especially if it's a bad team that's not going to make the playoffs. Then all of a sudden they get the number 1 pick, and then they will get the number 14 pick. Then where would the team that was supposed to get the number 14 pick? Where would they fall?
Where would they would be? Yeah. So that
now if you're that bad and you get 2 picks, that means you're taking somebody else's pick who had a first round pick.
Yeah.
If everything was considered equal, where all teams had 1 pick in the first round, then you will be getting 2 picks. That means you'd be taking, I don't know, like the Pacers who finished 14th. They would, unless they would just give it to the point where they would just have 31 picks.
Yeah, but that could be it.
Instead of 30, and then the round 2 they would have another 30 picks.
That could be it. That could be
you would have 61 draft picks instead of 60 like it normally is.
That's not, I mean, when he said it, I was like, that
might be a way to do it if you're going to do it that way.
Yeah.
To reward the team who's going to have.
Because it would give everybody incentive to win the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
If you're a top team pick like the Bucks or the Boston and you win the tournament, you're like, what? We get a 14th pick? What? Or the 15th pick? But it's lottery. So say it's 14. It's like, hey. And then whoever wins the chip will get the 31st.
I could see it. I could understand. I mean, I could see that they
let the person who wins the championship win the in-season tournament, and they have the 14th pick.
I wonder if they brought that up to.
I don't know. He said it, and I keep hearing rumblings about it. It might change, but they probably want to see how it goes first, because that will be a nice incentive for teams not to rest players, and if you win, kind of like the NFL with the number 1 seed, that giving the number 1 seed incentive. If you have the number 1 seed, you get a week off. I was listening to this one guy. It was on Instagram or Twitter. It had to be on Instagram because I'm not on Twitter. He was like, he said I don't agree with this, but he was like, we should do the NBA team with the best record should get a bye. And he broke it down. I was like, I don't know about that. But he had he calculated it. And then he also said the in-season tournament should get the lottery pick. Because we kind of stopped teams from taking. But it's interesting. We'll see. I'm excited for it. I want to keep reading about how it works, because I feel like it goes to December.
I guess you can still tank. It does go to December. I guess you can still tank, but I mean, you can't really sit your star players even at the end of the season. You're not supposed to be sitting them.
Yeah, that's another good.
You're going to get that load management rule, and you can get fined.
That load management rule is crazy. And here's the thing: this Gilbert, Kenyon Martin said this, and they were like, they said that Greg Popovich created that, and they said it doesn't exist. They were like, yo, NBA players want to play. He was like, Paul Pierce said this too. He was like, it seems like players are taking longer to heal. Kobe used to play games. LeBron played a lot of games back. You know what I'm saying? Kevin, KG, Paul Pierce, they played games, man. Like Gilbert was like, yo, I wasn't trying to miss no games. Like, there's no rest. If you go out, you go out and you play. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the load management thing is. I don't load manage in real life. So I don't go to work and take off and go to work and take off. I like, I'm a guy that believes that you can push through it. So I don't believe in load manage. And then we're gonna go on to we're gonna go into our it's all good. We're gonna go to our other topics after this. But NFL players, everybody is hurt, and you don't see them resting. They're playing games. Christian McCaffrey played games with broken ribs. Like, I'm just saying. Patrick Mahomes had the flu. I gotta play. There's no load management in NFL, and there shouldn't be a load management in NBA. That's all I'm saying. There's no load management in hockey. Baseball players be playing, man. They be playing a lot of games. I'm just saying, it's just weird that one sports team low manage, and that doesn't exist for any other sport. NFL's more brutal, hockey's more brutal. They don't low manage. And baseball plays 182 games. They don't low manage. They do. Oh, you muted, Craig.
No, it's 162. You gave him more games.
162 all game total. It's 162, but they don't load manage. I've never heard of it. Like they get hurt and then they got to get put on IR and come back. They don't they're resting this game. It's just it only exists in the NBA. It only exists. Everywhere else in life, people play. So anyway, guys, let's do this. This is a new topic. It is called Must Win. And now this is not like who you got when we break down the coach, the offense, and the defense and the final score. We're just saying why this is a must win and which team needs to win. So, Craig, I'm going to start with you. Titans versus Steelers. It's a must win.
I'm going to say that all teams need this win in this, at least in this topic, or every NFL game is a must win. But for this specific segment, this question, you said the who and the who? Steelers and the who?
Oh, Steelers and Titans.
So I'm going to say the Steelers. Reason is because I think they're in a tougher division, and I just don't think that the Titans are going to win that division, or they have to win the division at this point to make the playoffs. I don't see them getting a wild card spot, and they're so far behind the Jaguars that they had it was a great win last week against the Falcons. Not the Falcons. Great win last week against there was the Falcons. The team played well. They rallied behind Levis, who came out and had 4 touchdowns. Maybe when they get more film on him, I don't know if they were expecting Levis or they were expecting Levis and the other guy, I can't think of his name, Willis.
Yeah.
Or they were expecting just Willis. I'm not sure, but he went out there and had 4 touchdowns. He looked great. He found the guy he's supposed to find in D-Hop, but at the end of the day, I'm going with the Steelers just because the division is tough. They don't want to fall too far behind they don't want to fall too far behind the Ravens at this point. The Bengals are starting to come back and resurge and be that team that a lot of people thought they were going to be. The Browns defense is really good, and they're playing without Deshaun. So once they get Deshaun back, maybe the offense is going to be a lot better. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but we'll see. But I do think that it's got to be the Steelers for me. I think they need to win this game more just to keep pace.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I'm gonna go with the Steelers, right? Yes.
Yeah, I picked the Steelers.
I think that they're in an odd situation because they we don't know who they are. Their offense sputters at times. Matt Canada is not a good offensive coordinator, or could be Kenny Pickett, not a good quarterback. We don't know. They don't have any offense identity. I don't think we've ever seen the Steelers in this predicament where the defense is not really that good, and they'll play good against the Ravens, and then they'll lose badly. They played badly against Jacksonville, but I think, the Titans are 3-4, and the Titans are coming off a big win. The Steelers are 4-3. If the Steelers want to stay in the playoff race. They're in the toughest division. Their division has the Browns, the Ravens, and the Bengals. The Bengals have a healthy Joe Burrow, and they look like they're about to go on a tear. And the Ravens, it's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. He's gonna be there. If he's not winning the division, he is definitely gonna be a playoff spot. So then that is between them and the Browns, and if they want to separate, and do the Browns have the Steelers defense? What is going on? I don't know. This is a weird year. So I think it's definitely a must win for the Steelers. Vikings versus the Falcons. Who do I think it is? I think it's the Vikings. I think that they know that they've coming off a winning streak. They're going to rally around Kirk Cousins' injury. I think we talk about this. This is a must win because the NFC is so weak. You can grab that 7 playoff spot, Vikings, but these games are the ones you need to win. And the Falcons, and you know what? I was high on Ritter, and then I saw him play at the end of last season. I was like, oh, man, I don't like him. This was bad. And then he already got benched. So they're already going to draft a quarterback next year. So, and they have a good team, and I don't like their head coach either. So they'll probably be on panic or not next week because they're going to lose to the Vikings. But the must win is for the Vikings because I think that they can grab that last playoff spot, and that's why. Greg, Vikings versus Falcons must win.
Rufus hates being stuck inside.
Oh God, so sorry. I'm going with the.
It's okay.
I'm going with the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much for the same stuff kind of you just said. I think that before this game though, I was picking the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Before the trade, I should say. Before the trade, I was picking the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
But now that the Vikings went out, and it seems like they're trying to still stay with that. They're not starting the guy that came in to relieve Cousins last week. There's like they're going out and they're trying to win because Dobbs, he wasn't horrible. The team didn't win but one game, but he wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
He was out there pretty much with no talent for the most part. A team that was going nowhere. But he kind of did what he could do, and he survived. I think he had 8 touchdowns with 5 picks.
He's playing good.
Now he gets to come to a Vikings team that has Addison. They have Hawkinson. They're about to get Jefferson back soon.
Mm-hmm.
Running backs haven't been the greatest. They've only got 1 rushing touchdown, but you know it's a solid group. The defense is playing well. But, you know, I definitely think the Vikings, because now they're still in that playoff mode. They're not giving up. The Falcons, I think they can afford to lose this game and still be – right now they're in first place in the division, I think, or they're tied for first place.
The Falcons, they're in first place.
Yeah, because I think they have the tiebreaker over the Saints. So they're 4-4. Even if they lose this game, they'll be 4-5, and they'll still be in that same division hunt because, I mean, you have 3 teams kind of right around each other. The Vikings lose this game, you'll be 4-5, but I mean, you're kind of starting to drift back with those other teams that, like I mentioned, the Saints, the Bucks. Those teams are right around that same area, but you can't afford to lose those games because you're not in that division. You're in the division with the Lions, who separated themselves already. So you want to keep pace with some of those other teams. So it's a big road game. The Falcons, you mentioned, they're a good team, but they just have bad players on the team at key spots, or they have a bad coach, or they just don't get players that need the ball a lot of times. Like, I mean, they're kind of wasting talent for the talents of London and what's the tight end Pitts? Like they just wasted. Even Robinson, you could just make him. I mean, you can make the argument that they're wasting Robinson, even though he had a decent game. But I'm picking the Vikings here for my must win.
Hey, listen, I like Dobbs. He's been playing really good this year. And I was just trying to look up, but I believe Heineke's starting for Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I think so. Coming up this week. Yeah, because Ritter got benched.
He got benched. He's still on the depth chart as number one, but you know.
Maybe he just got benched for that game.
Maybe, but it's not looking good if you got benched that game. So damn, that kind of sucks. Yeah, that's not good. Desmond Ritter. Bucks versus Texans, Craig. Must win and why?
This is tough because I mentioned the same thing about the Bucks. Even if they lose, they're in an easier division. Texans. I'm gonna say the Texans, just because the Bucks are in an easier division. Even if they lose this game, they'll be 3-5. They could be right there still, a few games back. I mean, you don't want to fall too far back, even though the division is easier. But I think the Texans, because I mean, they're not going to win the division. And I think you want to try to keep pace with some of those other playoff teams that are in the conference. Because their only hope really is to win the wild card. And right now they're only a game back. So if they win this week, they'll be 4-4, kind of starting to set themselves up again for a late season push. I mean, halfway through the season, or I mean, I guess it's not halfway anymore, but theoretically, halfway through the season, you'll be 4-4. I mean, I didn't think the Texans were going to be.
I kind of agree. It might be halfway.
I mean, it's 17 games, so halfway would be 8.5 games. But I mean, for argument's sake, I guess I'm going to say it's 8. Well, it's halfway. But I mean, if you win this game, you're at 4-4, and you put yourself in a prime position because after this game, they got the Bengals on the road, which is going to be tough. Then they got 3 straight home games. So if they can win all their home games, that they'll be 7-5. I mean, so I think this is a big time win, a big time game for them. And just because I think the NFC is so easy, and the AFC is so much from top to bottom is just so much tougher, I got to go with the Texans.
Yeah, I kind of gotta go with the same thing. Okay, there we go. My sound. I kind of go Texans. I think the Texans are in a position to put themselves in, not the division, but I mean, who knows? Who knows what Cleveland does? Who knows with right? Because who knows what Buffalo like? They don't know if they can sneak into the playoffs this year in the AFC and get that 7th seed. I think the Bucks. You're right, easy division, but I would rather trust. I think this is it would be. It's weird because it kind of seems like the Bucks because the NFC has more options, but I think it's a must win. I'm gonna lean towards you unconventionally. I think I'm gonna agree with you. I think I'm gonna go with the Texans. I think that they can position themselves and start putting pressure on teams like Steelers. If the Steelers lose to the Titans and the Browns lose and Texas win, this is a conversation now. It's a conversation, and I like that. That's what I like. I like to stir the pot. You know, I like to mix it up. You know, like mixed martial arts, UFC. I like the mix, man. You know, so I like fusions. I like to stir the pot. Asian fusion with down south cuisine. That's what I like. So I like the Texans. The Chargers and Jets. I'm gonna take this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a very interesting one. Because on one half, you got a team trying to fight for its life. Trying to fight for its life to wait for this miraculous Aaron Rodgers comeback. The other team, you're trying to fight for your life to uphold what everybody thinks about you should be. You have the talent on the defense, you have the receivers, you have the quarterback, but all three of those phases have let you down. And you finally got a good win last week. Both of them got a good win. But I think I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think it's a must win for the Chargers because, listen, the AFC is getting tight. And it's a lot of speculation going on because
Pat McAfee joins us from the studio in Indianapolis. Hello, Pat.
Oh my God. Just trying to log into ESPN.
All right, so the thing is I think the Chargers, right? If they're able to go to the playoffs, they temper expectations. Justin Herbert is who we thought he is. Brandon Staley's a good coach. They were able to turn their season around. It's a feel-good story. On the other hand, I feel like the Jets are holding on for dear life, and I don't think this is a must-win for them. I think it's more for the Chargers because I think the Jets know they're done. They just don't want to tell the fans and the people and the players. Who you think, Craig, with the must-win Chargers versus Jets? See, this is a good one, man. We gotta keep this segment, guys.
Man, this is a tough one.
Makes us think.
The Chargers should be a lot better off. I mean, they have so much more talent. The Jets have a really good defense, but their offense is lacking. Is lacking because of their quarterback. He's making just enough plays and doing just enough to keep the team afloat and to keep now has the team above 500. The other team is right under 500. I'm gonna go with the Chargers just because I think if you lose this game, you're going to be sitting at 3-5, and the team that's above you, obviously in your division, is already going to be right now. They're sitting at 6-2. If they win, they go to 7-2. Now you don't want to fall too far behind. Plus, you're going to be trying to get a wild card spot at this point. The chance for you to win the division, you're already down a game anyway because you lost head-to-head against them. So just to get back to 500, not only that, but for the coach's sake, because the coaches, he's got to be under fire right now. I mean, even though they won last week, the way the season ended last year in the playoffs and then the way the season has started for this team this year, it's just not a good look. I mean, I know they've had their injuries. Every team has had the injuries. They had injuries last year on the defense, but the team is just not. They have not. I guess the word is like they have not exceeded expectations or even lived up to expectations of what a lot of people have for this team. And I mean, you're just wasting away. Herbert's having a really good year: 13 touchdowns to 4 picks, 1,800, almost 1,900 yards. I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, it's really, really good. He's not turning the ball over, but I mean, the team just the defense isn't where it's supposed to be. The coach is making some horrible decisions. He got away with a couple of them. The Jets are kind of playing with house money at this point. I mean, the team is not supposed to me, I don't think so. The team is not supposed to be 4-3. They're not supposed to be here at this point. They shouldn't. I mean, especially without Aaron Rodgers. If they had Aaron Rodgers, I'd be like, all right, 4-3, cool bet. But without Aaron Rodgers, they're not supposed to be here. I gotta go with the Chargers, man. I just think they really need this game. They really need to pull off a big road win against a really good defense on Monday Night Football.
All right, so before we go to the next topic, all right, I pulled up the Chargers and the Jets schedule. Let's see if they. So we think the Chargers are going to win, right? So say they beat the Jets, they're 4-4. They have the Lions, the Packers, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Bills, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. I count 4. Let's say they beat the Chiefs. 3 losses, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. Now let's look at the Jets' remaining schedule. They got the Raiders, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Falcons, the Texans, the Dolphins, the Commanders, the Browns, and the Patriots. I feel like the Jets have the harder schedule. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be interesting. It's because think about what if they both are fighting for that last 7 seed. This game matters, right? Because wouldn't that be the tiebreaker if they have the same record?
Yeah,
Say if they have the same record, same divisional record, it would come down to head-to-head. Well, I think head-to-head come before divisional wins. Yeah,
I think it's head-to-head first. Yeah,
head-to-head. Yeah. So this is a big game. Okay, Craig. Let's pick. What is your one crazy upset for week 9?
I wasn't feeling this at first, but we talked about it just a few minutes ago. I'm going with the Vikings over the Falcons. Falcons are a 5-point favorite at home. The Vikings are. I'm kind of hesitant, I guess, because I don't know if Dobbs is going to start. Probably not, right?
No. They say he's not.
See, that's
He
going
probably has to learn. He probably has to learn
about that.
stuff.
I just thought about it. I'm still picking the Vikings. I just think they have more talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's going to be quarterback. If Ritter's out there, I definitely am picking the Vikings. I just think he just makes the team worse. If they don't tell Heineke out there, I probably would pick the Falcons if I know he was going to start. So I probably wouldn't even pick this game. But I think the Vikings they know what they had to play for. They can get some solid, competent quarterback play and a decent run game from their running backs. They have 2 decent running backs. I think they'll win this game. So I'm picking the Vikings.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. They said something. So they're saying that why was he benched? Oh, he was being checked for a concussion.
That's what I heard too, but I heard he was. I don't know. I don't know if that was last week or the week before last. Or this week. So
I think he's going to start. I think Desmond Ritter's going to start. They said that. But is he in? But wait a minute. Is he in concussion protocol?
I don't know.
Because
even if he's in there, he might not. I mean, you saw Brock Purdy was in. I'm sorry, Brock Purdy, and he wasn't there by the time the game started.
And I think Devontae had a concussion earlier this year and was able to start. He didn't miss a week. It's just weird, but we'll see. I think he's going to start, but I agree with you. I think
he said he didn't get pulled for performance. So
yeah, I just read that. I was like, what?
I thought it was concussion at first, and then because that's what I put in the chat, I said concussion, and then I wasn't sure because I was reading reports that he was benched for performance or something.
That's what I thought.
And now they're just coming out again. Now they're saying concussion again. So I don't know what the issue is, man.
They're lying.
Yeah.
They're lying. Like what? Anyway, my upset pick. I'm gonna go Panthers over the Colts. I think they went back to back, man. I'm not a big fan of Gardner Minshew. Y'all defense, Panthers defense is excellent. I think it's gonna give Gardner Minshew fits. I think all Bryce Young needed to do was get that monkey off his back. He got it. They got a big win against the Texans. Ooh, by the way, CJ Stroud is his best friend. Um, they've known each other a while, so that's awesome that they, know each other and play in the NFL, competing at their highest dreams. It's just that's phenomenal. So my upset pick is great. I think the Panthers beat the Colts. You heard it, Corey. Panthers beating the Colts, man. When it happens, man, I'm telling you, I've been pretty solid with my upset picks.
Right.
Yeah. Too bad I won't be betting on them. I'm not a better man. All right, guys. Favorite topic of the night. My favorite topic. It always because it's the best NFL games. We break down the offense, the defense, the coaching, and we tell you who you got. Boom. Wait till I get my sounds, guys. You don't even know. I'm working on my soundboard now. It's gonna be off the chain. It's gonna be rocket ships blaring. You might hear the Star Spangled Banner. You might hear crash glass. You don't know. It's just gonna be off the chain. It might. You know what? Who you got might have a Stone Cold Steve offense intro. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about who you got.
All right, man. I believe you, man.
All right. All right, and now to be honest with you guys, these who you got games they're pivotal. They're going to be pivotal in the playoff race. They're going to be pivotal in division. They're going to be pivotal in head-to-head when it comes to seeding. So, Craig, I'm going to start out with you. Dolphins versus Chiefs. Who you got?
Ooh.
This is a good one. We got some good ones.
For the coach, this is a tough one because both coaches have done phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go McDaniel. I think so, just because even though the Chiefs have less talent on offense and their defense is playing phenomenal, I had the Chiefs here before the season started. I had the Chiefs like at near the top or at the top of the AFC, probably near the top because I had the Bengals at the top. But I had the Dolphins, I think, fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for like the 7th seed or something like that, or maybe I didn't even have them in. I got to go back and double check, but I think I might have. I think I did have them in, but I had them at 7. But I didn't have them where they are right now. I didn't have the offense playing the way it is right now. So I think McDaniel's he's done a phenomenal job. I'm just putting him here just based off my expectations before the season started. Because even though both teams had the same record, like I said, I didn't have the Dolphins here at this point. Offensively, it's no brainer. I'm going with the Dolphins. Their offense is phenomenal. The Chiefs, they're still trying to figure out why. I wish they had traded for somebody, a wide receiver. I know they traded for Hardman a few days ago, but he's not a number one. They have so many issues with drops. I think they lead the league in drops right now in terms of the wide receivers. If it's Travis Kelce's not making the play, if you double team him and take him out, I don't know who you can really depend on. I know Mahomes is getting frustrated with some of the drops. Kadarius Toney hasn't panned out. He's just been a flat-out bust for a first-round pick. Rice, still waiting for him. I think he could be the number one. Sky Moore, like Shannon Sharp said, it's a real cute name, but he hasn't done anything.
I saw that earlier, man.
Yeah, he hasn't really done anything. So that offense, if it's not Travis Kelce, you take him out of the game and shut him down, I don't know who can step up. Patrick Mahomes can't throw and catch the ball himself.
Yeah.
Defensively, I'm going with the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense. I mean, granted, Dolphins just got back Jalen Ramsey, so the Dolphins defense leads the secondary. should be a lot better. But the Chiefs defense is just playing. This is probably the best defense Mahomes has had ever. It just so happens that it's arguably the worst offense he's had ever in terms of his receivers. So it's unfortunate that it happens. He finally got a really good defense, but it sucks when all the years he's had a really good offense and his defense hasn't been great. But Chiefs are favored by 2.5. Unfortunately, this game's in Germany. This is an injustice. This game deserves a primetime game, a primetime slot. Even if you give it a 4:25 p.m. slot, I would take that over a 9:30 slot. This is a game I definitely got to wake up early for and go downstairs and watch it. I'm going with the Dolphins in this game. I think they're going to win this game. I think they know that the pressure's on them. It's a must-win game. I guess it's a revenge game, I guess you want to call it, for Hill. Even though I don't know if there's really any animosity there, but
nah, he loves.
Yeah, so, but I mean, I guess it's a revenge game. It'd been better if it was in Kansas City.
Yeah,
but I'm not sold on that Chief. As great as Patrick Mahomes is, as great as Travis Kelce is, they got to put Pacheco the ball more in the running game. He only had 8 carries, but he had 40 yards. The receivers are just not sold on, so I'm just going with the Dolphins. Every time I give the Dolphins a high-scoring game against a team, they just never give me a high-scoring game. So I'm going 27-23 Dolphins.
All right.
Fairly high-scoring.
Coaching. Listen, I love everybody knows how I feel. But before that, shout out to Shannon Sharp. Got me watching First Take more, man. That's my man. Anyway, and I watch him in Ocho Cinco Nightcap. It's hilarious. They talk about everything on there, including sports. But I'm just a big Shannon Sharp fan. Everybody knows that. Dolphins, Chiefs. Coaching, I love Mike McDaniels. He's one of my favorite coaches. I love the hire ever since the Dolphins hired him. I knew he was going to be good. But this is Andy Reid. I'm not picking against Andy Reid, everyone who you got, because he's a really good coach. Might be one of the best coaches ever. When it's all said and done, at least top 5. I'll give him that. Maybe. Depends on how many Super Bowls him and Patrick Mahomes can win. But I have coaching with the Chiefs. I think Andy Reid I think Andy Reid is going to dial up a good offensive game plan. He's a competitor. He doesn't like to lose. He's going to break down the film. He's going to see what's going on with this offense. And let's be honest, guys. They miss Eric Bieniemy. He wasn't just standing there holding the clipboard. He wasn't. Let's just be honest, guys. Okay? Let's get that out of the way. Offense, I have to go with Dolphins. Of course, you got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, who's going to win the NFL MVP. I'm saying it right now. He's going to win the NFL MVP. He's going to break the record. He's going to have one of the best seasons as a wide receiver ever. And, I don't know if he's going to go down as the GOAT receiver, but he's going to get some name recognitions. He's going to, if he plays as long and keeps this up, he could be one of the greats. He could be special, man. He is special, but he could be mentioned with the T.O. and Randy, and he could be mentioned in that. And then you got Waddle, who's been a letdown, but he exploded against the Patriots, and he always is there. So that's the Dolphins, and the Dolphins offense is phenomenal. And you got Mostert. I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. Defense, Chiefs. They are the 4th best defense in the NFL. I just looked it up. And I agree with you. This is the best defense Patrick Mahomes has and the worst offense Patrick Mahomes. This is the worst Patrick Mahomes has been playing. But, sometimes a loss is exactly what great players need. And I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to come out swinging. And I think Tyreek is going to have a game. I think they bottle up Waddle. I think they bottle up that run game. I think the defense sacks Tua. And I think the Chiefs win 24-17. And once again, Travis Kelce has a good game. Pacheco has a good game. Because the Dolphins' defense is suspect. And Jalen Ramsey, he might be checking Travis Kelce, but he's probably going to check MVS. There's a big receiver over the top. And I think Rashee Rice is going to bounce back. I just think they're, listen, he's right there on my wall, guys. Patrick Mahomes. In the words of Shannon Sharp, my homeboy. They don't lose back to back. So they're going to win. All right, I'm starting off with this one. Seahawks versus Ravens. Who you got? Coaching. This coaching is going to be almost kind of like analyzing offense and defense because Pete Carroll has done a phenomenal job. He has the young guys believing and playing hard. He has Geno Smith playing good as a starting quarterback in the NFL, which is hard to do. He has a running game, right? Pete Carroll is just the ultimate motivator. But I gotta give it to Harbaugh, man. New offensive coordinator, and he got Lamar Jackson. They're just on the same page. And I just think Harbaugh's right now better coach, better situational. Harbaugh takes more risk. Somebody asked Harbaugh a couple years ago. They were like, "Why did you decide to go for it on fourth down?" He said, "Because Lamar Jackson said go for it." So I trust my players. That to me is a good coach. I don't think Pete Carroll does that, but Pete Carroll doesn't have Lamar Jackson, so that's a difference. So Lamar Jackson says he's probably going to get the first down. You got to trust him. He's a starting quarterback. Speaking of that offense, I love Lamar Jackson, but I got to give it to the Seahawks. I got to give it to Kenneth Walker. And then their receiving core. Their receiving core is immaculate. Smith-Jigba just had a phenomenal. He had a good game. Good game. He's starting to come around. You still have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. If you switch the quarterbacks, you give Lamar Jackson those receivers, he's winning the Super Bowl. That's a fact. But the Ravens receivers have been dropping the ball a lot, and that affects the offense. So their offense isn't really that good. Defense, I gotta go with the Ravens, man. I think the Ravens. I think they have a really good defense. Right now, they got the second best defense in the NFL. But see, that's what they're known for, and that's what we thought Pittsburgh known for. No shout to Pittsburgh, but we're talking about the Ravens, so let's stay on topic, James. The Ravens defense is everywhere. They're hitting hard. Roquan Smith was a great pickup. Marlon Humphrey, that pass defense is good. That rush defense is good. They're allowing 15.1 points per game. Giving it to the Ravens. Now, the question is, who's going to win the game? Seahawks traveling out east, I think, is a problem for them. I don't think they're good enough to overcome a Ravens defense that is going to smother, hit. They're going to affect the run game. They're going to bottle up the pass game. They're going to sack Geno Smith. And I know they have seen the Cleveland Cavaliers because I believe they beat Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't have Lamar Jackson, and I think that Seattle's defense has holes that the Ravens defense does not, and the Ravens will be able to overcome them. So I have the Ravens winning at home in a big fashion, 30-17. All right, Seahawks versus Ravens. Craig, who you got?
coach, I think I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Harbaugh just because the offense is lacking still, and he's able to still have this. This team could be 8-0. Like they should be 8-0, and they just found ways to lose those two games, and could be talking about this team in a different situation, a different light if they had won those two games. And I'm not saying they would have went undefeated or anything like that for the regular season, but could have had a different perception of this Ravens team. And I just think he's done for what's missing, I guess, on this team, or what has been missing. I know every team has injuries and every team has players that are not there, that are hurt, that have been there and then hurt and then not there anymore, or just haven't been there at all this season. But I think he's done a phenomenal job with that team so far. And like I said, his team has been in every game, so it's not like they've been blown out or anything like that. So I got to go Harbaugh slightly. Offense, I'm going with the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks offense with those three receivers are really good. I like Walker. He's having a really good season. Geno's not playing like Geno played last year, but he still has 9 touchdowns. He has a lot of picks, with 6, but he's getting. I mean, he's getting the team some wins, and it's just he just. I mean, aside from Geno, the team is playing phenomenal. You look on the other side; it's pretty much just Lamar. I mean, you don't really see anybody else. I mean, Bateman he hasn't stepped up like I thought he was going to step up. OBJ, like he's not doing anything. He doesn't really. I think he's like 14 catches and like less than 200 yards for the season, which is crazy to see Odell Beckham play like that. He got hit again last week. I don't know. He's questionable, I think, coming into this week. I think he might play, but even if he does play, he's kind of just like a decoy out there. Yeah. Andrews is not having the season that he used to have, and Flowers is playing solid, but he only has 1 touchdown. He's playing solid. He's okay so far. I can see him emerging to that number 1 guy coming next season, possibly, unless they find somebody in free agency or something like that, or trade for Devontae, which I wish they had traded for at least a running back or traded for a wide receiver. Give Lamar a little bit more help, especially with Dobbins being out again. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill have played well, but I mean, they're not a Derrick Henry or Saquon or something.
Doesn't Derrick Henry fit the Ravens?
Huh?
Doesn't Derrick Henry fit the Ravens?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think he fits a couple teams: the Ravens, the Cowboys, especially teams that are in like the win now mode, or like they need a running back to help with their other running back that they have, something like that. I think he could definitely have helped, but they didn't trade for him, so this is what they have. Maybe they tried. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but. Offense, I'm definitely taking the Chiefs. The Seahawks. I think they just have too much, and it's just the Lamar Jackson show on the other side. Defense, I'm going with the Ravens. You mentioned it. The defense is second in the league. They're only giving up 15 points a game. Despite having some injuries on defense and some players that are not there anymore, the defense is still solid. This defense is still really, really good. I don't think the defense gets enough praise, even though that's what they're known for. Because it's all Lamar Jackson for the most part, but their defense is really, really good. Seahawks defense is good as well, but it's not how Ravens defense is. Seahawks, like you said, going from West Coast to East Coast, playing an early game, a 1:00 game. I think this is a big game for the Seahawks. We mentioned earlier in the contenders pretenders thing, but I'm not sure about the Seahawks. I think the Ravens are going to win this game. I don't know what's going on with Tucker.
You think Tucker's out?
No, I'm just saying, like, he's been missing some field goals.
He's getting old, man.
Yeah, but he still should be making field goals. I mean, he missed some field goals in key moments, like against the Colts last week. He missed the field goal. I think he hit the upright. So he's just not as reliable as he's been in previous years. But I'm going with the Ravens here. I'm going. I think they're going to win this game. It's going to be a tough game, low scoring probably, like it has been for the Ravens. 23-17.
Yeah, I was just looking at Justin Tucker. He's 33.
He's not that old, but he's just missing a lot of field goals that I think he should be making sometimes. At least this season. Like I've seen him miss a decent amount.
Yeah, it might be. He's played a long time.
I think my perception of him is just like he's always hitting his field goal. He's so reliable that when he misses like one, it's like somebody shooting a free throw and there's 90-something%.
Yeah. Yeah, so last year he was 86, which is good. 21, he was 94. He averaged about 90, but this year you're right, he's at 81.
Yeah, he's missed
he's at 81. He's good at extra points. Still at 95. But it's those field goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. All right, Cowboys versus Eagles. Who you got?
Coach, I gotta go with Sirianni. The team is 7-1. They're struggling here on defense at times. Like they're not the consistent juggernaut defense that we've been seeing. Even on offense, they're not the consistent juggernaut that we saw last year. Hurts is turning the ball over a little bit. Even though AJ Brown has almost 1,000 yards through the first 8 games, their offense could be a lot better. I mean, but you know, I got to give it up to them. The team is 7-1, best record in the NFL. Cowboys haven't beaten anybody so far this season. Haven't really played anybody outside the 49ers, so this is their toughest test. We'll see how this goes. They're 5-2, obviously. Going to be a tough road game for them, but Mike McCarthy has done a good. I mean, he's kind of staying out the way. He doesn't have that clock management issues that he's had in the past. Offense, I'm going with the Eagles. I'm still, even though they have turnover issues, Dak Prescott, man, I'm just not there yet. I know he found CeeDee Lamb last week. It might be a sign of things to coming for the future, but that needs to be more consistent. And that should have been a thing going. I mean, I don't know why it really wasn't happening on the first 6 games, but it really wasn't a consistent thing. Maybe now at the last week, they can get that going and just keep it going for the rest of the season, because CeeDee Lamb, some people were saying that CeeDee Lamb was number 1 and all this other stuff. And I think he's a number 1. They just got to give him the ball and find creative ways to get him the ball when he's struggling. I don't know. I mean, slants, hooks, screens, anything. Just get him the ball so that he feels like he's part of the offense. And he's your best weapon. So try to get him the ball at least. Yeah. But I got to go with the Eagles, man. I think Jalen Hurts, he just has that weapon in AJ Brown, and they're on the same page like Tyreek Hill and Tua at this point. Like AJ's killing. If it wasn't for Tyreek Hill and Tua, I mean, look at this, might be the best wide receiver quarterback combination in the NFL at this point. So I got to go with the Eagles defense. I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. The Eagles defense just has been a letdown. I know people have been saying, including myself, they got a new offensive coordinator, they got a new defensive coordinator, blah 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 blah, which is cool. But I mean, when you go out and you shut down, they're just inconsistent. You shut down a really high profile team in the Dolphins, who have been getting 35, and now they're at like around 34 points a game. Put up 70 points, and you only hold them to 17. Yeah. Then you play the Commanders, and you give up 31 in both games. And it's just like, why is this team so inconsistent? Like, I need to see more of that championship type of defense that we've seen in previous years. And so far, it's just been up and down, up and down, up and down. The Cowboys, at least they're kind of consistent when if you turn the ball over against the Cowboys, it's going to be hard for you to score. It's going to be hard for you to win those games. And in the games that they normally get turnovers and short fields for the offense, I mean, they've given up 20, 17, 3, 10, and 0 in all their wins. So the most points they've given up is 20, which is phenomenal. So if they get you down early or you turn the ball over early, it could be a long day for you, no matter who the team is. The two teams that really didn't do that were the Cardinals and the 49ers. So if you want to learn how to beat the Cowboys, is what you have to do pretty much. But I mean, that's easier than done.
Yeah.
In this game, I am going with the Eagles just because they're at home. They get to go back after a tough game, tough division game, another tough division game coming up. Cowboys coming off of a big win. Everybody seems to be on that Dallas Cowboys bandwagon again. They look good, blah, 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 all that. If it wasn't already enough. But I just think that the Eagles have – they just have too much, especially if they have too much A.J. Brown. I don't know if they can stop A.J. Brown at this point, especially with Diggs not being there. That's going to be a tough task for this team. So I'm going with the Eagles. 28-23.
All right. I agree with you a lot. With the Cowboys and Eagles, this is a pretty big game. Everybody's been waiting on it. This is two of the best teams in the NFC. They're got two of the best young quarterbacks, and they're peaking at the right time. Coaching, people can say what they want to say about Mike McCarthy. I know Mo's like, fire him. It's like, if they go 12-5 this year and lose in the second round of the playoffs or get to the NFC Championship game, which everybody's predicting, why would you fire him? I think people think that it's easy to go 12-5 multiple years in the NFL. It's not. It's very difficult. I'm a Commanders fan. Craig's a Panthers fan. Do you think we would fire coaches after going 12-5 3 straight years? No. But to each his own. That's just me. But Nick Sirianni's he's a good coach, man. This team is really good in situational late football games, and that's coaching. And that's Nick Sirianni. That's everything you want, man. And he got Jalen Hurts. When you have a good coach and a good quarterback, it's a great combination, guys. What can I say? I got Nick Sirianni. Offense, I would like to say the Cowboys, but they're kind of up and down. 1 minute they're playing good. The next minute, CeeDee Lamb has to complain. And then over the past 2 games, got 19 targets. I do think CeeDee Lamb is a number one. I think I just don't know what's going on with Brandon Cooks. I thought he was going to slide into that number 2 spot.
He's done that.
Yeah, it's been very interesting and weird. But the Eagles. The offense is A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard. But let me tell you something. This A.J. Brown, he has 60 receptions on 83 targets, 939 yards. Now, Tyreek Hill has 1,000. And he has 5 touchdowns. Those two are going to be the 2 All-Pros at the end of the season. A.J. Brown's lighting on fire. Him alone I'm picking the Eagles' offense. And then Swift. Swift is playing like Detroit wanted him to play. Right? Is that weird? Like, this is what Detroit wanted. Swift is 4th in the league in rushing. This is what Detroit wanted him. Detroit wanted him to be like, hey, maybe when you get around different coaching staff and a different environment, it humbles you, but he's 4th in the league in rushing. So I got to give it to the Eagles offense. And the defense is easy. It's the Cowboys. Even though the Eagles, and I looked at this, which is so crazy. Do you know the Eagles have the let me say, I think it's I was shocked when I looked it up. I think it's the 9th defense and overall yards allowed. So the Cowboys are the 3rd. So they're getting my vote for best defense over the Eagles. But it shocked me. The Eagles are 8th. They're 8th in the NFL. Now I think that they're giving up 313 yards a game, 247 passing yards a game. That's probably a little bit on the the, the high end. They're only allowing 65 rushing yards a game. So I think that we're used to seeing what the Eagles did last year, and that's why they're underrated. But the Cowboys defense is better. So I think this game is going to be one for the ages, and I'm excited to watch it. I think it's going to be going back and forth. I can't wait, actually. But I think the Eagles at home, and they're going to have to put A.J. Brown on. Gilmore's going to have to go on A.J. Brown. I hope he travels. Because if I don't know, the way A.J. Brown is playing is out this world. And then the thing is that the Eagles' offensive line is going to be able to neutralize Michael Parsons. Eagles have a great offensive line, man. I just think the Eagles win this one at home. And I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be 31-28 Eagles. I think it's going to be it might be game of the week. If they had that. I think they do have that. Yeah. All right, Bills versus Bengals in the rematch of a playoff game where Stephon Diggs cussed out Josh Allen, and everybody knows the regular season rematch, and everybody survived and is healthy in that. Coaching, I gotta go Zach Taylor. I think that the Bills have been up and down this season, and it's worrisome because they're inconsistent. And I think that starts with the head coach. Leslie Frazier left, and that's, sometimes your defense plays good, sometimes your defense plays bad. Josh Allen plays great, then he plays bad. So I think that is all on the coaching. Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow toughed it out, and I mean, they came out in San Francisco and they let everybody know who we the Bengals. And that's a reflection of the head coach. Offense, Bengals. Once again, just like I said, like now this is the right time to be clicking in the NFL. Week 8, week 9 is the time to be on a winning streak. And everybody is semi-healthy. I'm not going to say everybody's 100%. But Joe Burrow's looking good. Jamar Chase is looking good. Joe Mixon. You got to go to offense. The only thing is, like, the Bills' offense is it's weird because Josh Allen's like a roller coaster, man. One minute Josh Allen is like, hey, is that the MVP? And then the next minute you're like, who's this guy? So I gotta go with the consistency, and I gotta go to Bengals. The defense, I gotta go with the Bengals, man. They shut down the 49ers. And to be honest, I think the Bills have too many injuries on defense. And 1 minute their defense is consistent, and the next minute it's not. But I think losing their star corner, Tre'Davious White, and then losing Milano, and I don't think it's Von Miller back.
I think so.
Maybe, but I just I think that they have like the 15th best defense. I rather lean on Cincinnati. I think they're healthy. I think the defense is better. Overall, who wins this game? I think the Bengals do. The Bills have been inconsistent. I think the Bengals are about to go through a tear. I think this isn't close. I know it's on who you got, and I know they both have winning records, but I don't like the Bills this year. This isn't the Bills in the past, man. Something's going on. I don't know if it's Leslie Frazier. I don't know if it's Brian Daboll, but something doesn't smell right. And I gotta go with the Bengals, and I think the Bengals win big, 30-17.
All right, so Coach, it's tough, man, because it's not just based off of the last. It's like based off the whole season for me. So I got to go based off the whole season.
You want to go? Yeah, I got it. I mean, that's fair.
It's tough, man, because both. I mean, like, I don't know, man, because neither team to me has reached what I thought they would be at. Like, I'm just gonna go with McDermott just because I had the Bills as the number 1 overall seed before the season started. I put them on high pedestal. I put Joe Burrow as the MVP for the league. Like, I just had so many high expectations for this team over the Bills, who I had initially winning the division, and then I changed it to the Dolphins. So then I had them as a playoff or as a wild card team, which I still think they're going to be a wild card team. I think both teams most likely going to be a wild card team unless something crazy happens. But excuse me.
Yeah.
I got to go with McDermott, even though the Bengals have a 3-game winning streak. Offense. This is another tough one because you got one team who's on a roll right now, and the other team who's, like you said, is very inconsistent, up and down, up and down. But it's tough, man. It's tough. Let me get the Bengals. I think their offense is starting to click a little bit more at this point. I think the Bills definitely have a higher rated offense just because the Bengals started out so slow, a couple games scoring 3 points. But I think the Bills are kind of they're not that well-oiled machine that I thought they might come out. Or at least last year, I thought they were going to be a really good team, and then last year they weren't, and it kind of lower my expectations coming into this season. Even though I still had them winning the AFC East, I still kind of my expectations went back because last year I had them in the Super Bowl, and this year I just didn't believe, and I kind of still don't. But I think their offense is really good. It's just they sometimes they're putting up 30-some points a game, and then next week they're getting 20-something, and it's just not consistent. And the Bengals, they're starting to look like that team that I thought was going to be that team coming into this season. A big win over the 49ers, a big win over the Seahawks. Granted, the Seahawks game wasn't as high scoring. They weren't putting up a lot of points, but they look a lot different compared to the first 2 weeks of the season, especially the first week. I just think it took Joe Burrow a little bit of time to get back into the swing of things. Defensively, another tough one because the Bills have a better defense. The Bengals started out, like I said, slow. But I think the injuries have kind of plagued the Bills a little bit. I think that game against the Patriots kind of, I don't know what happened in that game. He gave up 29 to Mac Jones had arguably his best game this season or best game in the last 2 seasons.
Maybe. maybe the best NFL game
ever. I mean, he had a phenomenal game. Mac Jones had a great game week 1 as well, but against the Eagles. And I thought he couldn't top that game, but he did. And they got a win. So I'm not sure what's going on with this team, why they're so up and down. Some of these games, like the game is the Jets and the game is
they should be better. They should have a better record.
They should be a lot better. Even if they're 5-3, I think they should look a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I know they have injuries on defense. They have at least three key guys out, maybe 4. I'm not sure. Like you said, Von Miller. I'm not sure if he's back yet. I have to look. I haven't really paid attention, but I think I'm slightly going to go Bills just because I think they have a better defense. But I mean, the injuries are really they're throwing me off here. So it's a slight. But I think I'm going to change it to Buffalo. If I pick the Bengals, I'm going Buffalo slightly. In this game, this is a game that we were supposed to see last year in the regular season, but unfortunately, the DeMar Hamlin thing. I'm glad he's healthy. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's still alive. Obviously, then they met in the playoffs, and it wasn't close at all, and kind of started to see how things kind of started to fall apart a little bit for that Bills team. I think the Bills, just like the Cowboys and the Ravens, I think they could have benefited from making a move at the trade deadline for another wide receiver,
defense, especially
maybe another running back. Yeah, definitely a defensive pass rusher with all the injuries. Maybe a cornerback. I know the guy from Chicago wanted to get traded, but he didn't. Cornerback. So I mean, you had a bunch of opportunities to try to do something to make this inconsistent team be more consistent, and it just didn't happen. So with that in mind, I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think the Bengals are on a roll right now. I think they see that their time is right now, like their time is starting out 1-3. They're gonna, I guess, I don't know if that's a history changing the thing to go from 1-3 to make the playoffs.
It's weird
game. Now that it's 17 instead of 16, or wherever the case may be, like the odds, defying the odds, I guess, of making the playoffs. So I think this game's another stepping stone to get to that point, and I think they're going to beat the Bills, who I just need to see more out of consistently. 31-21.
You got the Bengals? Yep. Okay, so we got the Bengals right. Before you go, look at the Bills. Let's look. They lose to the Jets opening night. Then they beat the Raiders, crush the Raiders, crush the Commanders, crush the Dolphins. They scored 38-10. They beat us 37-7. They beat the Dolphins 48-20. Then they lose to Jacksonville. Then they barely beat the Giants. Then they lose to the Patriots.
They could have lost that game to the Giants, actually.
They could have lost it. The Bucks. They could have lost that one too. It's just weird, man. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo. I'm not gonna lie. And
if Chris Godwin turns around 4 seconds earlier, he probably catches that Hail Mary, and they win the game at the end. So I mean, they've had a bunch of. It's like the Eagles. Like the Eagles played phenomenal against the Dolphins. Shut them down, 17 points. And then they come out against the Commanders, even though they won the game. They come out against and they just gave up 31 again, back-to-back games against the Commanders. I mean, you got this team, the Bills, come out and score 48 one week.
That's crazy.
Give up only 20 to the Dolphins, and then next week they get beat by the Jaguars. I mean, it's in London, or if you skip that game because they're a good team, they give up 29 to the Patriots.
The Patriots,
like, come on, man. The
29 to the Patriots.
Patriots had one win, I think, coming into that game.
Yes,
and they end up, they had one win, and then they end up beating a team that shouldn't have lost that game. It's like they shouldn't have lost against the Jets.
No, and then look here, watch. They're gonna lose to the Bengals.
No turnovers in that game.
Then they're gonna crush the Broncos, and then we don't know how the Jets game is gonna go. They might win. Then they got the Eagles. Then they got the Chiefs. Then they got the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's gonna be
a tough 3-game stretch, man. They're gonna have to start getting this consistency going, because if they lose to the Bengals and lose to the Eagles, right? or they beat the Eagles and lose to the Chiefs, or lose to the Cowboys and beat the. I don't know.
They got a tough schedule.
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
And the Broncos just beat the Chiefs, so I mean, you never know how that's going to go. But everything they should be.
I don't know if they're gonna like. This is what I'm saying. Like, are they gonna make the playoffs? They should, but like that loss to the Patriots and the Jets are gonna come back, man.
I think they can beat the Patriots because the next 2 games they got them as home, and then they got the Broncos at home. Those should be 3 easy wins. The rest of them, Cowboys, Chiefs, I don't know.
And the Chargers.
That's a road game, but I mean that's going to be a tough one just because you're going out.
Be a tough one. That's 4 tough games
on the road, and that's going to be a night game.
And they play Miami and Miami.
It's going to be tough to play in last game of the season. They might flex that game depending on how
they might flex it because it might be for the division or like I don't know. I just know that they shouldn't be in this position.
They shouldn't be 5-3, no. Or if they even are, if they 5-3, they need to be more consistent with how they're competing.
I think they should. Let's give them the. I don't think they should have lost the Patriots. I think they should be 6-2.
It could be 7-1.
7-1. The Jets and Patriots losses are crazy. It's crazy. But all right, guys, we are out. It's 4th quarter. We're gonna see y'all next week. Long show, probably because of the NBA trade, but it's all good, man. We will see y'all next week. Peace out.